Chapter 642. Lien Jin's lips curled into a faint smile as he said, "The advance guard is here?" "Yes, sir." "Good." Lien Fu said, "General Su, give me 1,000 men. I will ask them to help the Shen clan repair the sky curtain." "Yes, third team. Go with Master Lien Fu." "Yes, sir." The vanguard soldiers followed Lien Fu. They were nervous, but they had to obey the Mo's order. After all, Lien Fu had at least tens of thousands of troops at the broken sky curtain. This was not something the vanguard soldiers could fight against. "I wonder how the Mo repaired the sky curtain." Min Yulin frowned. Lin Muyu nodded and said, "Let's continue to the sky curtain and find a chance to break out." "Yes, sir." In the distance, the 1,000 vanguard soldiers were led to the bottom of the sky curtain. Lien Fu grinned and said, "The sky curtain is an energy wall derived from the spiritual energy between heaven and earth. Therefore, it needs the spiritual energy of flesh and blood to repair the broken sky curtain. Everyone, you are all meritorious subjects of the Shen clan. I will always remember you." With that, Lien Fu whipped his horse and galloped away. "What's going on?" The vanguard soldiers were dumbfounded. Suddenly, a long cry came from the sky. A giant flying snake descended from the sky. It opened its mouth, and a force field instantly controlled the entire area. The soldiers of the advance guard were involuntarily sucked into the sky, howling as they became minced meat in the mouth of the giant flying snake. The condensed essence in their bodies was also sucked out, turning into blue spiritual energy brilliance that filled the sky and gathered in a corner of the sky. It was slowly recovering. "Bastard," Min Yulin's hand holding the reins couldn't help but tremble. "We can't wait any longer. Otherwise, more people will die." Lin Muyu raised her arm and slowly drew out her star's sword. She said to the others in a low voice, "Min Zhan, Su Ying, protect Marquis. Oh Yang Yan, you protect Marquis as well. I will clear the way and bring up the rear. Don't worry about me. I am a god and I can handle everything." Everyone unsheathed their weapons. Su Ying pointed his saber at the south and shouted, "Brothers of the advance guard, you are all soldiers of the Empire. Our days of enduring humiliation have come to an end. Her Highness Lin Muyu will lead us back to the Empire, back to our homeland. Kill. Break out of the encirclement." Originally, there were only 2,000 to 3,000 people who were willing to follow Su Ying and Min Zhan, but after seeing the demon race use human blood to refine and repair the sky canopy, who wouldn't risk their lives? Lin Muyu turned into a stream of light and leaped from the back of the horse. In front of her was an army of thousands of armored demons guarding the sky canopy. It was not difficult to take care of them. After her eyes were covered with a layer of golden light, Lin Muyu had already entered the real battle state. She opened her palm and shouted, "Acatosaurus, help." The palm force tore open the space crack, and Acatosaurus's figure immediately appeared from the different space. However, it still had a piece of bloody meat in its mouth, which should be some kind of exotic beast's leg meat. As it devoured the meat, it curled up its body, and blood-red spikes stood up from between its scales. Acatosaurus directly rushed into a group of armor demons in an invincible manner like a wheel of wind and fire. Flames shot out in all directions, and miserable screams could be heard continuously. Lin Muyu flew in the sky, about 100 meters above the ground. Her eyes were disdainful, and she opened her palm like a god descending to the world. Streams of stars of all living beings shrouded the ground in the sky. It was the starting move of the chaotic luminary. However, the chaotic luminary that was used after stepping into the god realm was extremely powerful. Within hundreds of meters, everything was filled with the divine power of the 7 elements, and the armor demons were all tied up. Die. The moment Lin Muyu suddenly withdrew her palm, the bodies of hundreds of armor demons were instantly destroyed and torn by the divine power of the chaotic luminary. Their miserable screams were earth-shattering. Charge! Suing waved his saber and rushed into the group of armor demons, killing the heavily injured armor demons one by one. The vanguard army also spread out like a tide. What's going on? In the distance, Xianxia was dumbfounded as he looked at the chaotic crowd. A demon general said loudly, "Lord Xianxia, it's the vanguard army. These despicable humans have rebelled and are killing our god race soldiers. Also, we found that Lin Muyu, he's mixed in with the vanguard army. It's Lin Muyu again." Xianxia gritted his teeth and said, "Immediately send a letter to the marshal and demon king. Do we need to send troops to chase after them? Let's wait for Marshal Qianfeng to arrive first. Lin Muyu is too powerful, we can't deal with him. But Lord, if we don't chase after them and let them escape from the Tongtian Gorge, when Marshal Qianfeng investigates, we will bear the crime of dereliction of duty." Motherf *****. Xianxia roared, clenching his fists and said, "I'm so angry. Pass down my order, the 3rd Armor Demon Legion will chase after them. Send out the giant flying snakes to intercept them. Don't leave them alive, kill them to your heart's content." Yes, this subordinate understands. Lin Muyu knew that the vanguard army's combat power could not compete with the demon race. Therefore, she could only rely on the strength of one person and one dragon to bring up the rear for the vanguard army. Roar! Acatosaurus was now an adult, his body had grown a lot larger, and he gradually revealed the majesty of the divine dragon race. In the midst of his roar, flames rose from the soil, burning a group of armor demons. Acatosaurus seemed to enjoy the scene in front of him. He lazily twisted his body, clouds rose, and began to ride on the clouds. High in the sky, he released dragon flames, burning the earth red. Jiejia, the sound of the giant flying snake came from the sky. Lin Muyu held the star's sword in her hand and swung it at the pursuing armor demons. Divine power quickly spread out. Buzz, a golden shock wave swept out, and the armor demons within hundreds of meters were almost completely evaporated into a pile of flesh and blood. Looking at the giant flying snake swimming in the sky, Lin Muyu naturally would not let it catch up with Min Yulin and the others. She stepped on the void, her body shot out like lightning, and her long sword slashed down from the sky. Bang! The sword light tore open the scales of the giant flying snake's abdomen. This sword cut several meters deep, but for the giant flying snake with thick skin and rough flesh, it was not very fatal. On the contrary, this fierce beast fiercely looked down at Lin Muyu, the god of the lower world, and provocatively opened its bloody mouth and roared. The sharp teeth and azure power source in its mouth were so hateful. The wind between heaven and earth began to blow rapidly. This giant flying snake was playing the same trick again. It actually wanted to eat Lin Muyu. Beast! Lin Muyu smiled coldly. As it wished. In a flash, Lin Muyu's body was wrapped in a bright golden ice crystal. It was Qin Yin's unique skill, Celestial Dragon Crystal. After sleeping in the Scarlet Abyss for so many years, the Celestial Dragon Crystal was Lin Muyu's biggest gain. Every day, he missed Qin Yin all the time. Now, with his lover's unique skill to kill the enemy, he felt somewhat comforted. It was as if Qin Yin was fighting side by side with him. The next moment, Lin Muyu's body was completely sucked into the giant flying snake's stomach silently. Oh no! In the advance troop, Min Zhan, dumbfounded, looked back and said, "Her Highness, you was eaten by that beast. Goddamn giant flying snake." Old General Suing raised his saber and said, "First team, follow me and charge back to rescue Her Highness you." However, at this time, God Monarch Fire Dance, Ouyang Yen, who was riding on a thin horse, said indifferently, "Don't be silly. How can Lin Muyu be killed so easily? You guys should retreat quickly. Don't become a burden to him." Min Yulin nodded lightly, indicating for everyone not to look back. He knew that Ouyang Yen was a God King expert. Even if her godhead had been stolen, she still had 50% of a God King's power. This kind of power was enough to run amok on the continent. If it wasn't for the Demon Emperor and Saint Master's scheme, Ouyang Yen probably wouldn't have been captured so easily. At this moment, Ouyang Yen said that Lin Muyu was fine. Just as everyone was worried, the giant flying snake in the sky suddenly raised its head and let out a mournful cry. Its head shone with a golden light, and a giant celestial dragon crystal at least 100 meters thick pierced through the giant beast's head. The small figure in the sky was Lin Muyu. He was inside the dragon crystal, looking down at the giant beast below. He raised his palm, and immediately, several storms whirled in the sky. In the blink of an eye, the giant flying snake's body was shredded to pieces. Oh my God! Min Yulin was both gratified and shocked when he saw the giant body in the sky turn into a rain of blood. He never thought that Lin Muyu would be so strong that he could completely crush all the so-called experts in the empire. For hundreds of years, there hadn't been a cultivator as strong as Lin Muyu in the empire. At this moment, he was the god of the empire. Slowly descending from the sky, Lin Muyu's worn-out cloak fluttered behind him. Thousands of armor demons and high-level demons stopped, as if Lin Muyu was the only one blocking here, like an insurmountable wall. Roar! The armor demons roared from afar, but none of them dared to take a step forward. Lin Muyu slowly raised the star's sword horizontally. Streams of supreme divine force revolved around him. The corners of his mouth curled up as he looked at the group of armor demons in a mocking manner. Trash like you deserve to be called the God Clan? Come on, don't you want to destroy the advance army? Step over my dead body, and you can chase after Wei Ho Min Yulin. Come if you're not afraid of death. You. In the distance, Lian Zhao clenched his long sword, his handsome face a little twisted. He had never been humiliated like this, but Lin Muyu was like a god blocking in front of him, making the army of tens of thousands of armor demons unable to take a step forward. The armor demons were scared out of their wits. The person in front of them was not someone they could fight. Roar! A Catasaurus flew around its master and roared at the devil army in the distance, as if to warn them. For a long time, the devil army didn't move. But the air began to pulsate with divine power. It was a four-dimensional power wave that could penetrate the plane. The one who should come had come. Crack! The space crack flashed, and Qianfeng, the Sage Master, and the Demon King appeared in front of the formation almost at the same time. Looking at Lin Muyu and Acatosaurus from afar, the Demon King's eyes were fierce, and he said, Lin Muyu, you really don't know what's good for you. Chapter 643. Lin Muyu looked at the Nephilim King and the others from afar with a faint smile on his face. He said in a penetrating voice, Nephilim King, you didn't kill Min Yulin. Instead, you enslaved the survivors of the Yangwei army and made them help you to attack the human city. You have achieved your goal, right? Now, I'm going to welcome Wei Ho home. If you want to kill him, just come. Today, I'll guard here alone. I'll kill as many as you come. As he said that, he raised his arm and put the long sword on his shoulder. He smiled like a deity who didn't do proper work. But don't forget that the Tongtian province is to the south. It's a place where the Imperial Army and the Nephilim Army mix. If you want to have a taste of the magic crystal cannons, just come. More importantly, the three of you have just used the power of void breaking. Once you're entangled by me, it won't be so easy for you to leave. The Demon King's expression turned cold. Lin Muyu's words were as sharp as a knife. Just as he had said, the godheads of the Demon King, Saint Sovereign and Qianfeng were all mortals. After they used the space travel technique, they wouldn't be able to use it again for at least the time it takes for a stick of incense to burn. During this period of time, if they were stuck by Lin Muyu's terrifying god force, the chances of them being killed would be extremely high. Who was Lin Muyu? She was a person who killed a deity. In the battle in the Crimson Abyss, Lin Muyu's sword had smashed Luolan's body and godhead into pieces. Once Lin Muyu became ruthless, she wouldn't care about anything, even if it was a deity. Moreover, there was another reason why Lin Muyu was so brazen. He knew that the injuries of the Nephilim King and Saint Master in yesterday's battle would not heal so quickly, and he was only slightly injured. At this time, Lin Muyu maintained 90% of his combat power, but the Nephilim King and Saint Master only had 60% of their combat power. It was not easy for 3 mortals to kill a Supreme One. Even if they succeeded, 1 or 2 of them would die, and it was possible that all of them would be killed by Lin Muyu. After all, his star technique and 7 glorious stars transformation were unprecedented and frightening. In the distance, dust was flying. More than 10,000 vanguard troops had already galloped through the fertile fields of Tongtian province. If they wanted to catch up, they would have to send the demon cavalry to chase after them. However, Lin Muyu was blocking their way, and it was very likely that the pure cavalry would be killed by him in the air. The demon kings and saint sovereigns all knew that Lin Muyu was proficient in the divine energy of the 12 edicts, and his killing methods were ever-changing. Currently, he was only using the divine energy of fire, wind, and light. If he used the divine energy of the edicts of chaos and darkness, it was likely that he would kill even more. You guys, are you going to fight or not? Lin Muyu looked at the group of demon race soldiers who had stopped in their tracks and couldn't help but find it funny. She quickly raised her arm, and suddenly a purple sun grew in her palm. Raising the purple sun shakes the earth, she raised her eyebrows and shouted, "Are you going to fight or not? If not, I'll make the first move." The demon king frowned, "This bastard." Qianfeng said indifferently, "This subordinate suggests that your majesty and saint sovereign retreat a little. This is the 6th form of Lin Muyu's star arts, purple sun shakes the earth. It's powerful and combines the divine power of the law of light and the law of fire. Once you're affected, it won't be easy. Retreat." The demon king roared, "Retreat for me." Lin Muyu didn't say anything and directly threw out the purple sun shakes the earth. Suddenly, the sun flew nearly 1,000 meters away and suddenly exploded in the chaotic group of armor demons. Under the devouring light, hundreds of armor demons were killed, and the residual power spread in all directions. Even the demon king, Qianfeng, and Saint Sovereign had to use their Grandmaster Devil Force to resist. This bastard is too arrogant. Saint Sovereign blew away the residual power of the purple sun shakes the earth with the power of the demon whirlpool, and said with a cold expression, "It seems that this person has indeed formed the sovereign godhead, a unique godhead. Humph, God actually protects such a stubborn person. How hateful. Sovereign godhead?" The demon king smiled faintly, "This news will soon spread throughout the heaven realm. I'd like to see if the gods of the north, south, east, and west heavens can sit still and wait for this brat to cultivate the sovereign godhead and become their enemy." The corner of Saint Sovereign's mouth raised, "Your Majesty, rest assured. The gods of the northern heaven realm have already summoned us once. There's no need to worry that they won't summon us again. Although Lin Muyu is very strong and his magic crystal cannon is also very strong, we can rely on the god power of the northern heaven realm to fight against them. As long as the northern heaven realm is willing, they can send the next god emperor, or even god king, to crush this young sovereign godhead in its infancy." Qianfeng frowned and didn't say anything. Saint Sovereign glanced at him and said, "Why? Does the marshal not agree with what I said?" Qianfeng said faintly, "Saint Sovereign, although we can borrow the power of the gods of the northern heaven realm to kill Lin Muyu and even sweep through the entire shattered cauldron realm, this also means that the forces of the northern heaven realm will enter the shattered cauldron realm. I'm afraid that at that time, they will usurp the host's position and put us in a passive position. Isn't Saint Sovereign worried about this? Don't worry, we have the witch." "Humph, Tang Xiaoxi." Qianfeng said coldly, "Saint Sovereign, are you so confident that your mind manipulation technique can completely control Tang Xiaoxi? Don't forget, Tang Xiaoxi has unparalleled demonic energy. She is a god and demon and has already formed a heavenly fate. Her power is above Saint Sovereign's. If Saint Sovereign can't control Tang Xiaoxi, sooner or later, she will devour you. Don't forget, Tang Xiaoxi still loves Lin Muyu. If you really want to use Tang Xiaoxi to deal with Lin Muyu, then you have to be prepared for a life and death struggle. Humph, the marshal worries too much. Saint Sovereign narrowed his eyes. Don't forget, do we have any other choice? Lin Muyu's strength is increasing day by day and their magic crystal cannons are also increasing. If we don't strike first, do you want to wait for the day when tens of thousands of magic crystal cannons are lined up in the south and blast our sky into pieces? Qianfeng was about to argue. Don't argue. The Demon King suddenly said, continue to repair the sky curtain and send someone to contact the garrison of Skysplit City. Order them to attack the advance guard along the way. Humph. Min Yulin, Su Ying, these traitors dared to betray the Protoss. I won't let them have it easy either. Also, Marshal Qianfeng, today was supposed to be your wedding day, but unfortunately Lin Muyu disturbed it. Don't be angry. Also, contact our people in Lanyan City. What if? Your Majesty, we have some clues. Oh? What clues? Clues about how magic crystals can explode. Qianfeng's eyes lit up. So, as long as the power of the law of lightning is activated and the magic crystal is heated to a certain temperature, it can explode on its own. This is the principle of the magic crystal cannons. The Demon King looked excited. Then when can we develop the magic crystal cannons? I'm afraid not even within 10 years. Qianfeng said, the structure of the magic crystal cannons is very delicate, and the blueprints are controlled by Qin Xiling. Qin Xiling is Lin Muyu's man, we can't do anything to him. So, the Protoss will never have magic crystal cannons? Not really. Qianfeng's lips curled up. The Empire has magic crystal cannons, but we can create bombs that can be dropped at will. Please rest assured, Your Majesty. Give this subordinate some time, and I will make the steel wall in the south a piece of tofu that can be broken at any time. That's great. The Demon King said cheerfully, then, the matter of weapon development will be handed over to the Marshal. This subordinate will not disappoint. Please rest assured, Your Majesty. No, from now on, you should change the way you address me. Yes, Father, good, very good. The wind was strong. Lin Muyu's cloak was constantly fluttering behind her. She held her long sword and waited in the air for nearly 2 hours. There was no movement from the demon race. The vanguard army behind her had long escaped without a trace. Her task of bringing up the rear could be considered to have been completed perfectly. Little Apple, go back and rest. Lin Muyu touched the Acatosaurus beside her and said with a smile. The Crimson Crystal Dragon did not seem to want to go back. It raised its head and rubbed its master's arm. Then, it raised its claws and tore open the space wall. It searched inside a few times and suddenly seemed to have caught something. When it retracted its claws, it was actually holding a sharp sword that was shining brightly. At a glance, it was obviously not an ordinary sword. It was at least a saint-grade sword. Is this a gift from you? Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. Little dragon head. Lin Muyu grabbed the long sword and only felt a surge of holy power flowing into her arm. Although this sword was not as strong as the star's sword, it should be considered a treasure sword. After careful observation, the hilt of the long sword was engraved with words. Looking at it carefully, the words were somewhat familiar. It actually looked like English. Moreover, there was actually a carving of the shape of a cross on the hilt of the sword. This sword was like the most precious treasure of the church culture. Where did you get this sword from? Lin Muyu asked in surprise. Seeing that its master was very interested, Acatosaurus immediately excitedly described to her, "Awo. Awo. Awo. Awo." Awu. 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 The smile on Lin Muyu's face gradually froze. Damn it, she didn't understand a single word. There was no way for her to communicate with the little dragon at all. Who cares, this sword should have been taken from a different space. As for why it was a religious sword, it might be that the culture of that plane was inherited from Europe. Or, the European culture on Earth was inherited from another plane, just like the culture of the Shattered Cauldron realm in China. Because of the existence of the god Emperor Fuxi, it was inherited. Putting the long sword into the cosmos sack, she turned around and flew into the distance with the little dragon. There were still hundreds of meters between Tongtian province and Lingdong province. This journey was not safe, and the advance guard needed her to accompany and protect them. Chapter 644. Launcher Commandery, a remote commandery city in Tongtian province. After being occupied by demons for many years, the population of Launcher Commandery had been greatly reduced. Nowadays, Launcher Commandery was no different from a wasteland. It was full of desolation. Collapsed houses soaked in the rain appeared on the plain. Some badgers were happily running among the broken walls and debris. Launcher Commandery used to have a population of nearly 50,000. However, after 5 years of war, it had a population of 5,000. Along the way, Min Yulin could only see the spreading desolation and silence. Launcher Commandery had become a dead city. The remaining civilians had either become mercenaries or bandits or become hunters in the depths of the mountains. The fields were barren. Under the rule of demons, the economy of Tongtian province was dying. In the distance, some vultures were hovering in the sky. On the ground was a starving man. Even from afar, one could smell a strong rancid smell. It seemed to be a beggar. However, Launcher Commandery was desolate and no one would give him food. He could only starve to death in the wilderness. Alas, Min Yulin's eyes were full of sorrow. He raised his hand and said, Jean, take some people to drive away the evil birds and bury the corpse. Yes, father. Min Jean spurred his horse and left. Su Ying's face turned gloomy as he said, Marquis, don't be too sentimental. Now that the Empire has destroyed Iha country and the magic crystal cannons are so powerful, I believe it's only a matter of time before we destroy the demon tribe. After we recover our lost land, we can rebuild Tongtian province. Is it useful? Min Yulin heaved a long sigh and said while looking up at the sky, to think that the 100,000 soldiers of my Yangwei Corps were besieged in Winter Frost City because I underestimated the enemy. If I had listened to Prince Qin's advice, I wouldn't have ended up like that. Starving people are everywhere in Tongtian province. It's all my fault, Marquis. Su Ying choked with sobs as he said, none of us knew that the demon tribe came to Tongtian Gorge. The Empire has less than 10,000 years of history. However, the demon tribe has been dormant in Tongtian Gorge for tens of thousands of years. This is not Marquis's fault. Marquis, please take it lightly. Since Prince Qin is willing to save us, it means that Prince Qin doesn't blame us. But, Min Yulin watched Min Zhan's receding figure and said, but the old general and Zhan led the vanguard to launch a sneak attack on Heaven's Pivot province and seized several prefectures. Will the Empire really forgive us traitors? Su Ying sucked in a deep breath and said, in order to survive, we had no other choice. The demons pointed their daggers at our backs, what could we do? What's more, young general and I raided Dubhe province. Although we captured cities and seized land, we didn't kill those surrendered soldiers. All the cities that were captured were almost completely recaptured by His Highness Qin Yen. We've already done our best. Old general, don't forget that as soon as you left, the devil army stepped into Heaven's Pivot province. Millions of people of the Empire died under their butcher knives. These millions of people are our sins. I know. Suing murmured, "If His Highness King Qin blames us, this subordinate is willing to bear all the consequences. Whether it's beheading or punishing, it's all up to His Highness you." At this moment, a voice came from the sky, "Who wants to punish you?" Suing and Min Yulin were overjoyed. They looked up at Lin Muyu who was flying above them and cupped their fists. "This subordinate greets your highness. There's no need to stand on ceremony." Lin Muyu put her hands behind her back and flew horizontally in the air. She said, "About 300 miles south from here is the territory of Lingdong province. Marquis Wei, I have something to discuss with you." Min Yulin said in a deep voice, "His Highness you, please enlighten me. I want you to rebuild the Yangwei army. I'll give you equipment, warhorses, provisions, and so on. The battlefront of Lingdong province is too long. I need you to help me guard a section of the defensive line." Min Yulin's heart moved. He said with mixed feelings, "His Highness you disregards the past and still puts me in an important position. This subject will definitely die. You're welcome." Lin Muyu raised the corner of her mouth and smiled. "I'm now King Qin, one of the three kings. I have the right to confer titles. I'll restore your title of Marquis Wei. When we return to Winter Frost City, I'll forge a new tiger seal and commander's seal for you." "Thank you, Your Highness. Let's speed up the march." Lin Muyu looked at the yellow sand in the distance and said, "The devil race will definitely not give up. We'll take a detour around Tongtian City. Don't fight with the devil race army in Tongtian province. You're definitely not a match for the devil race now." "Yes, I understand." At this moment, the sound of a bird flapping its wings suddenly came from the air. It was a psychic messenger bird. It chirped at Lin Muyu. Lin Muyu smiled happily and stretched out her palm. The messenger bird landed lightly in her palm. She took down the letter. It was a letter from Wei Chou about the success or failure of Lin Muyu's operation. It came just in time. Lin Muyu took out a pen from her Qianquan bag and wrote a line of words on the letter. "I found Min Yulin of the Yangwei army in Tongtian Gorge. He will lead more than 10,000 vanguard troops to surrender to the Empire. However, I'm afraid that the devil race won't let us go. Duke Wei, please immediately order troops to set up magic crystal cannons at the mouth of the Luo River to support us." Lin Muyu released the messenger bird, which also meant that another confrontation between the devil race and the Empire was coming. This time, the Longdan army camp was in charge. Most of the vanguard troops were infantry. It would take at least 3 days to walk 300 miles, and they had to hurry all the way. The next day, most of the soldiers had blisters on their feet. They complained incessantly along the way. Along the way, there were soldiers sitting in the wilderness to rest, but this also meant that they were about to fall behind. The only result of falling behind was death. The devil race would not let the rebels go. "Get up!" Min Zhan shouted along the way with a long sword in his hand, "Get up and keep up with the team. The devil race's pursuers have already left Tongtian City. Do you want to die under the sharp teeth of the armor demons?" A veteran of about 50 years old complained incessantly, "Young general, my legs are almost broken. Look, my straw sandals are completely worn out, and now the soles of my feet are almost a pile of rotten meat." Min Zhan frowned and looked at Lin Muyu. "Your Highness you, what should we do?" Lin Muyu took out a bag of gold coins and threw it to the veteran, saying, "Take the money and find a way to survive. You're not suited to stay in the army." The veteran was stunned. He suddenly got up and knelt on the ground. "Your Highness I can't leave the army. What else can I do besides being a soldier? Your Highness please don't chase me away. I beg you," he repeatedly kowtowed. Lin Muyu frowned. The lack of warhorses and chariots was the vanguard's fatal weakness. At least 1,000 people had fallen behind along the way. At this rate, it would be good if only half of them could reach the Luo River estuary. At this time, a beautiful figure walked over with a warhorse. It was Ouyang Yen. She had already recovered a lot and handed the reins to the veteran, saying, "You ride the horse. I don't need a mount anymore." The veteran was stunned. Min Yulin respectfully said, "Divine King Huowu, have you recovered?" I've recovered at least half." Ouyang Yen slowly circulated her divine power, and tiny flames immediately appeared around her. She slowly flew up and stood side by side with Lin Muyu in the air. She smiled, saying, "Although I've lost my godhood, I'm still a god. Don't worry, I can fly. I don't need a mount." "That's good. Why don't you thank Divine King Huowu?" Min Yulin said. The veteran kowtowed again and again. Ouyang Yen smiled sweetly and didn't say anything else. Instead, she followed Lin Muyu and flew to the front of the formation. More than half of the army's confidence in dealing with the demons in the desert came from these two gods. The Tongtian province was adjacent to the Eastern Sea. After the invasion of the cold from the north, more than a third of the land had been turned into a desert. The vanguard army had been advancing in the desert for an entire day. The scorching August wind blew on their faces like they were being roasted by fire. The soldiers on the ground complained incessantly, but they could see dust flying in the distance. It was the demons chasing them. "If you don't want to die, hurry up." The officer in the formation shouted loudly, but there were still people falling behind. Lin Muyu furrowed his brows and remained silent. Ouyang Yen flew side by side and smiled faintly. "What do you plan to do in the future?" "Exterminate the demons." Lin Muyu said. "Exterminate the demons?" Ouyang Yen giggled. "I'm afraid it's not as easy as you think. Do you know that the Sage Master has the ability to connect with the telekinesis of the Heaven Realm? Moreover, the Sage Master was originally a god from the Northern Heaven Realm. The Heaven Realm War has been going on for many years, and there are constantly crippled gods with their godhood stolen. Once they fall in the three realms, I'm afraid the Shattered Cauldron Realm will become even more chaotic. Moreover, if the Northern Heaven Realm sends true gods down to assist the demons, I'm afraid the Empire will find it even more difficult to move forward. There's no need to lecture me." Lin Muyu smiled and turned to look at Ouyang Yen, saying, "I saved your life. From now on, you're mine, right?" "Yes." Ouyang Yen stretched her body and intentionally or unintentionally revealed her plump and perky twin peaks. Her clothes were already in tatters, and a pile of rags wrapped around her peaks. She looked extremely enchanting. Her charming face smiled at Lin Muyu, saying, "No matter what you want me to do, I will listen to your orders. Please rest assured." Lin Muyu was not in the mood to joke with her. She said indifferently, "I only need you to listen to my orders. Your law is fire. I will help you get a fire law's godhood. Don't worry. You can get a godhood?" Ouyang Yen was stunned and smiled, saying, "You're not teasing me, are you? It's not easy for a god of the mortal world to get a godhood. Moreover, what I need is the godhood of a divine king. It's very rare even in the heaven realm, let alone in the mortal world. There will be one sooner or later." Lin Muyu nodded, saying, "As long as you stay and help me wholeheartedly." "Yes, that's for sure." Ouyang Yen suddenly turned around and squinted her beautiful eyes at the billowing dust in the distance, saying, "The demons' wolf riders are here. Prepare to defend against the enemy. The advance guard definitely won't be able to stop them." Chapter 645. Dust was stirred up in the desert as wild beasts rushed through the desert. Surprisingly, they were unknown vicious wolves. These wolves were huge and had steel needles all over their bodies. Their heads were huge and ferocious. There were signs of decay at the corners of their eyes, making them look like rotten meat. Their bodies were 3 meters long, and each of them was riding an armor demon with a spear in its hand. Perhaps only armor demons could ride these wolves. If it was a human, their lower body would definitely be pierced by the spikes. Heavens, what's that? Many of the advance army soldiers looked from afar, their faces pale. Get into formation, defend. Suing raised his saber and shouted, "Don't be afraid, Your Highness He will definitely lead us out of this desert alive." The faces of the advance army soldiers were full of fear, but they still raised their shields and started to get into formation. However, most of the steel shields had been abandoned during the long journey. Now, they only had wooden and bamboo shields. How could they block the steel spears in the hands of the armor demons? Seeing the fear on the faces of the advance army soldiers, Lin Muyu couldn't help but ask in surprise, "What's wrong?" Even the advance army has never seen this kind of wolf cavalry. No, Min Zhan shook his head, "Your Highness, the advance army has always been training in the Heaven's Gorge. It's very rare for us to have the chance to see the first-rate demon army. This is the first time we've seen this kind of wolf cavalry." Min Yulin also had a dignified expression. Although he hadn't seen the demon wolf cavalry before, he was still very experienced and calm. Ouyang Yen said, "I've seen it before. This kind of wolf is a species in the depths of the Heaven's Gorge. Their bodies are covered with cyan steel needles, so they're called green wolves. Qianfeng has trained the armor demons to ride green wolves and use them to break through. As far as I know, there are at least 20,000 green wolves in the demon race." 20,000, Lin Muyu couldn't help but wail in her heart. If such a powerful green wolves mount were to encounter the 50,000 elite cavalry of the Longdan army camp, what would the result be? If they met force with force, the Longdan army camp would definitely lose. At this moment, at least over 1,000 cyan wolf cavalries were galloping over. Armored demons raised their spears and threw them towards the position of the advance army from afar. With great impact force, the spears pierced through the wooden shields and the bodies of the soldiers behind them. At the same time, the armored demons on the backs of cyan wolves changed their battle axes and started a close combat. "It's time for us to act." Lin Muyu's voice lingered in the air, but she had already appeared several hundred meters away. She unsheathed her longsword and slashed out an arc of divine power. With a buzz, nearly 100 cyan wolves' cavalrymen were directly thrown to the ground. She raised her palm and the light of chaos of the lives shone from all directions, sweeping up the armor demons and cyan wolves and throwing them into the distance. Bang, 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 the behemoths fell to the sand in the distance like rubber balls, while the armor demons that were closer had already been killed by chaos of the common people. Ouyang Yan's figure flashed and appeared above a cyan wolves cavalryman. She opened her 5 fingers, surrounded by raging flames, and directly pierced into the back of an armor demon. She grabbed his heart and crushed it alive. Turning around, Ouyang Yan opened her arms, and the flames devoured another 2 armor demons on the backs of wolves. Then, she jumped up and closed her hands, smashing the head of the 4th armor demon. Blood splashed everywhere. She didn't seem to care about the filth, but rather enjoyed the feeling of bathing in the blood rain. Her beautiful face became extremely hideous. After being imprisoned in the demon ceiling valley for 4 years, she had suffered so much humiliation that she almost went crazy. Lin Muyu smiled inwardly. This Ouyang Yan seemed to be even more charming. He needed such a useless god to work for him. In the blink of an eye, the 2 gods, Lin Muyu and Ouyang Yan, had killed hundreds of cyan wolves cavalrymen. Even more cyan wolves cavalrymen fled at the sight of them, but there were still dozens of cyan wolves cavalrymen who charged into the crowd, killing back and forth. "Use lassos!" Suing shouted. The soldiers of the advance army hastily used ropes to pull the armor demons off the backs of the wolves, and then they were hacked to death. The scene was chaotic. In order to kill less than 50 armor demons, nearly 1,000 people of the advance army had died. The gap between the 2 sides was obvious. Looking at the corpses of the armor demons and cyan wolves on the ground, Lin Muyu shook her arm, and the blood on the star's sword dissipated into a bloody mist. After returning the sword to its sheath, she said, "Continue the march." "What about the corpses of the dead soldiers? We can't let them be exposed in the wilderness," Min Zhan said. "Don't worry, pile up their corpses." "Yes." After the corpses of the 2,000 soldiers were piled up together, Lin Muyu took out a wrist guard from her cosmos sack. With a light flip of the wrist guard, the power of the heavens and the earth was activated. Streams of fire rained down from the sky and quickly cremated the pile of corpses. The army quickly left. Lin Muyu did not know how many of the 10,000 soldiers could reach the steel wall. It was getting late, and night fell. Lin Muyu was afraid of the arrival of the night, which meant that they couldn't continue the march. They could only rest in the forest for the night. As the night breeze blew, bonfires swayed in the forest. Cries could be heard in the wind. Many of the advance party soldiers were crying. Many of them had lost their loved ones and were captured by the demons to become advance party soldiers. This was the closest they had ever been to death. Although Lin Muyu was a god, she still could not use her identity as a god to bewitch them. After all, death was too close for them. In the dead of night, most of the people had already fallen asleep. Lin Muyu stood on the crown of a 10-meter-tall tree. A cool breeze blew past, and starlight gathered on his body. It was a marvelous sight. The night was a great opportunity to cultivate the star arts, and he would never miss it. Ouyang Yen walked over step by step. She raised her head to look at Lin Muyu and couldn't help but smile. "What, don't you sleep at night?" "I can't." Lin Muyu heaved a sigh of relief and said, "The demons will come again. Everyone is exhausted, so I must stay here to keep watch." "Ouyang, your strength is still recovering. Go to sleep." This simple, "go to sleep," caused Ouyang Yen to be stunned. For so many years, she had never heard a word of concern. Everyone thought of her as the tyrannical godly monarch Huo Wu, so no one cared about her physical condition. Qin Yi and Luolan only treated her as a tool to kill, while the devil race didn't even treat her as a human. They only imprisoned her in the Devil's Ceiling Valley to absorb her divine power. "Lin Muyu, I heard that you guarded Qin Yin in the Blood Abyss for 4 years. Is this true?" "Yes." "You've already become a god. Why don't you ascend? What are you doing guarding the mortal realm? With your strength, if you ascend to the heaven realm, the 4 great heaven realms will definitely fight each other to the death just to rope you in. Why do you need to rack your brains for a piece of land in this poor and bitter mortal realm?" "I don't know." "What is your Tao?" "You just said." Ouyang Yen was silent for a long time. Suddenly, she lifted her head and smiled brightly. "I've already ascended for nearly 100,000 years. To be honest, I'm quite jealous of that little girl, Qin Yin." Lin Muyu was silent. After a while, she said softly, "I will definitely find her." "Yes, good luck." Ouyang Yen also said something that didn't match her identity. According to God King Huo Wu's status, she should have snorted coldly and spat out the word TCH. Ever since she left the Demon Ceiling Valley, Ouyang Yen felt that she had started to change involuntarily. The gods of the higher realms all pursued godhood, divine power, and spiritual power. Yet, there were gods like Lin Muyu in the lower realms. This was truly unimaginable. Love, this kind of thing had long been extinct in the heaven realm. Love was not even comparable to a heavenly Tao, an ancient divine weapon, a mystical artifact, or a spirit storage crystal. In the wee hours of the morning, the night seemed to have darkened even further. The flickering light from the fire shone upon Ouyang Yan's beautiful face. She was lying on her side on a flat rock, looking indolent. Her tattered dress clung tightly to her body, outlining her graceful curves. But at this moment, her ears suddenly trembled slightly. Following that, the trembling became more and more frequent. She abruptly woke up from her sleep and looked up at the sky. She shouted, "Don't sleep anymore. There's something coming from the sky. It's the winged people army." That's right, it was the winged people. The black mass of the winged people army had come. They flapped their wings in the air and quickly drew their bows. They were only 100 meters above the ground. With the winged people's arm strength, the arrows they shot were quite lethal, especially to the group of sleeping vanguard soldiers. Min Yulin, Min Zhan, Su Ying, and the others woke up one after another. All of them stared at the dark sky, dumbfounded. At this moment, a golden light suddenly rose from the crown of a towering tree at the side. It was Lin Muyu in her godly form, her golden eyes looking up at the sky. Lin Muyu slowly raised her arms, and in an instant, it was as if she was lifting up a huge disk from the depths of the earth. Numerous law spirit beads were embedded on this disk that was condensed from divine energy. This was the first time he had tried this method of attack. His face was covered in a thin layer of sweat. The sovereign matrix in his EC slowly trembled and emitted wisps of golden divine energy to support his attack. Arrows rained down from the sky, but all of them hit the huge disk of light. Not a single arrow fell to the ground. Die! Lin Muyu suddenly let out a low roar, and the golden light in her eyes became even more intense. She raised her arms, and the round disk immediately shot into the sky with a hum. Like a seal, it crashed into the thousands of winged tribe members in the sky. Screams rang out incessantly, and not a single one of the thousands of winged tribe members managed to escape. They were all reduced to a bloody mess. Everyone was dumbfounded. Was this the power of a god? A god was the ruler of all things in the world, but also the source of all destruction. Even Ouyang Yan's mouth fell open in shock. She murmured, He can actually use a divine wheel. That's an ability that only a god emperor can use. Chapter 646. An inexplicable sense of exhaustion shook his high. Lin Muyu's stomach began to twitch and he felt like vomiting. The power of this seal had been in his body for a long time, but when Lin Muyu took it out, he didn't expect it to be so powerful. After activating it, more than 70% of his divine power was instantly consumed. It was too terrifying. Fortunately, the winged army that came to ambush him had been destroyed. How powerful was a single attack? Feeling empty, he couldn't help but fall from the treetop. Careful! Ouyang Yan leaped into the air and grabbed onto Lin Muyu when he was a few meters above the ground. Lin Muyu, on the other hand, was exhausted. He hugged onto Ouyang Yan's shoulder and panted heavily. Ouyang, thank goodness you're here. Otherwise, I'd be dead meat. Ouyang Yan smiled. You're still in the mood to joke. Looks like you're really fine. Min Yulin, Min Zhan, Su Ying, and the others gathered around them. Min Yulin knelt on one knee and asked, Your Highness, are you all right? That attack was so powerful. Lin Muyu nodded with a smile. Emichim, I'm fine. Don't worry. I didn't expect this attack to be so powerful. I just felt this power awakening in my body, and I have to get it out. This golden plate. Consider it a surprise for the winged ones. What golden plate? Ouyang Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It's called a spirit chakra. It's a sharp divine imprint attack. Only a god emperor's spiritual head can withstand such an attack. I really don't know how a mere hierarch like you can control such a powerful force. Spirit chakra? Lin Muyu was stunned. This name sounds so much more imposing. It's indeed better than the golden plate. Su Ying, Min Yulin, and the others laughed. All right. Lin Muyu rested for a few minutes and said, Gather the troops and set off. We'll reach the Luo River estuary before noon and completely escape from the demons. I can feel another green wolves cavalry chasing us. They're about 40 kilometers away. If we don't leave now, they'll catch up in the time it takes to smoke a cigarette. You can sense auras from 40 miles away. Ouyang Yen was stunned. Yes, the origin of this ability is called the spiritual pulse technique. If you want to learn it, I can teach you. But I, a dignified god king, actually want to learn martial arts from you. Ouyang Yen straightened her back, her surging peaks causing everyone to stare fixedly at her. Lin Muyu snorted and said with a smile, "You can't beat me, so stop pretending." Ouyang Yen blushed. "Then teach me, little master," Lin Muyu nodded, feeling that something was wrong. The army continued to set off. Everyone had a simple meal before setting off. They had already used up their rations for the day. Most of the areas along the way were wilderness, so it was impossible to find food. They could only reach the Luo River estuary in one go to completely escape the demon's pursuit. When it was close to noon, the army marched for nearly 15 kilometers. They could even see the Tianqiong Snow Mountain in the distance. The Tianqiong Snow Mountain was nearly 6,000 meters above sea level. Even in the hot summer, the mountain area was covered in snow, so it was called the Tianqiong Snow Mountain. This Tianqiong Snow Mountain was the dividing line between Tongtian Province and Lingdong Province. There was only one passage to the Tianqiong Snow Mountain, and that was the Luo River estuary. "I see the Snow Mountain." Min Yulin's old face showed a hint of relief. "Speed up and reach the Luo River estuary at noon." Yes. Everyone's morale was boosted, but at that moment, they heard the rumbling of hooves behind them. Dust filled the air. It was the demon army's wolf cavalry. This time, there were at least 10,000 wolf cavalry soldiers, nearly half of the demon army. At the front of the crowd, they could faintly see a general with a sword in hand. He was leading the wolf cavalry soldiers in a charge. It was Lian Xiao, one of Qianfeng's generals. Sending him to chase after them was enough to show how determined the demons were to destroy the vanguard army. Lin Muyu couldn't help but complain. She had only recovered half of her strength. At this time, 10,000 wolf cavalry soldiers were like a nightmare to her. What do we do? Ouyang Yen was also at a loss. She was only a god who had lost most of her strength, not a commander. Naturally, she was flustered. Min Yulin said in a low voice, "Rather than being chased to death by them, we might as well fight them." "No, wait a little longer." Lin Muyu narrowed her eyes. She could feel the movements in the Luo River estuary. Countless strong auras were slowly approaching. Who else could it be? The cavalry of the Longdan army camp. "Continue forward, the Longdan army camp is coming to receive us." Lin Muyu shouted. Everyone seemed to see a glimmer of hope. Abandoning their weapons and shields, they ran for their lives in the direction of the Luo River estuary. Amidst the dust, a black mass of cavalry soldiers galloped out of the Luo River estuary, covering the sky and covering the earth. There were at least 10,000 of them. The Empire's purple flag fluttered in the wind. Wei Chou was riding at the front, shouting from afar, "Your Highness, we will stop the demon army. You lead Marquis Wei's men to the Luo River estuary." Lin Muyu nodded, "Don't get caught up in battle. Use the formation to restrain the wolf cavalry. Bring them into the Luo River estuary and use the magic crystal cannons to welcome them." "Yes, your subordinate understands." "Longdan army camp, follow me." Wei Chou galloped away, the Longdan army camp's iron hooves shaking the earth. Min Yulin's face was full of astonishment. It had been far too long since he had seen such elite cavalry from the Qin Empire. The vanguard army surged into the Luo River estuary like a tidal wave and were received by Situ Shui's men. Meanwhile, Lin Muyu, Min Yulin, and the others climbed a nearby mountain. Looking from afar, they saw that Wei Chou had already divided the 10,000 Longdan army camp into smaller groups. Groups of men were leading the wolf cavalry in different directions, and in the end, they merged into a single force and headed straight for the Luo River estuary. Min Yulin was stunned. "Who's the general?" he asked. "Duke Wei Chou." Situ Shui smiled. "Brave and resourceful. He's truly a brave general." Min Yulin couldn't help but praise. Situ Shui smiled. "Marquis, there are many generals like him in our Longdan army camp. Compared to your highness, Wei Chou's strategy is nothing more than a child's play before an expert." Min Yulin nodded. "Your highness, I've long heard of your highness repelling the demon invasion at the Wildfire Plains and annihilating the entire Thunder Rush army in the Demon Fall Valley." Situ Shui said happily, "Your highness, look. The demon wolf cavalry has entered the Luo River estuary. Very good. Prepare the magic crystal cannons." "Yes." A group of menacing armored demon wolf cavalry kept chasing after the Longdan army camp. Wei Chou skillfully separated and regrouped, preventing the armored demon wolf cavalry from truly attacking the Longdan army camp. Just like that, a group of people poured into the Luo River estuary like a tide. As the name suggested, the Luo River estuary was originally a river. According to legend, tens of thousands of years ago, Tong Tian province was a sea, and seawater poured into the Luo River estuary from the East Sea. But after a catastrophe and an earthquake, the terrain of Tong Tian province was greatly improved, and the Luo River estuary became a plain. "Wait!" Lianxiao suddenly raised his saber and shouted, "There must be an ambush in the valley. Stop chasing." But the group of armored demons above him didn't care so much. They chased fiercely, completely ignoring Lianxiao's order. It was no wonder that this armored demon army was originally under the command of a demon officer in Tong Tian province. Now that Lianxiao had taken office in a hurry, the armored demons didn't care about his order at all. Armored demons were strong, but their intelligence was only equivalent to that of an adult husky. They were difficult to control. This was also the pros and cons. Lianxiao was dumbfounded. He gritted his teeth and said angrily, "A group of idiots. If you continue to chase, you will regret it. Men, stop the armored demons behind us. Kill anyone who dares to disobey." With that, Lianxiao turned around and directly cut an armored demon and a green wolf in half. Blood sprayed into the air. Woo woo! The armored demons at the back were scared out of their wits and didn't dare to chase after them anymore. Meanwhile, dozens of high-level demons were also shouting in all directions to stop the armored demons from chasing after them. But even so, over 6,000 armored demons still rushed into the mouth of the Luo River on their green wolves. Boom, boom, boom. Dozens of magic crystal cannons hidden in the bushes on both sides of the valley fired at the same time. Suddenly, the earth trembled. Purple lightning shot up into the sky from the Luo River estuary. For a moment, Lianxiao's face turned green. He jumped off his horse and cursed, "Lin Muyu, you despicable person. You cheated me of 6,000 troops again. Bastard! You murderous bastard! You will get what you deserve." In the Luo River estuary, mud flew everywhere. Although the Green Wolves' cavalry was powerful, they were nothing more than a pile of minced meat under the magic crystal cannons. In the blink of an eye, only less than 1,000 of the original 6,000 Green Wolves' cavalry were left, and most of them were injured. Wei Chou immediately ordered the Longdan army camp to attack again. This time, it was a simple massacre. How could the Green Wolves' cavalry withstand such an attack? They all died under the Longdan army camp's sharp sword. Only a few dozen battered armored demons rode their green wolves out of the valley. On the mountain, Min Yulin, Min Zhan, Su Ying, and the others were dumbfounded. Not long ago, the war between humans and demons had become like this. The powerful armored demons were beaten to the point where they couldn't even fight back. Situ-san narrowed his eyes and looked down the mountain. He sneered, if it weren't for Lianxiao's cautiousness, we could have killed these 10,000 Green Wolves cavalry in one go. What a pity. Don't worry, they'll be ours sooner or later, Lin Muyu said. Situ-san, Situ-shui, Bai-yin, and Fengshi took a few steps back and saluted Min Yulin. This general greets Marquis Wei. Min Yulin hurriedly cupped his fists. Generals, there's no need to be so courteous. This old general doesn't dare. Only then did Situ-shui look at Ouyang Yen and ask, Your Highness, you actually took Ouyang Yen as well? Lin Muyu was just about to explain when Ouyang Yen smiled charmingly, that's right. Situ-shui immediately looked angry, but it seemed like there was no need to explain. Chapter 647. By the time they returned to Winter Frost City, everyone was already exhausted. The 20,000 advance guard troops had been killed, exhausted, or starved to death along the way. As a result, there were only 11,000 people left when they arrived outside Winter Frost City. About 200 of them were from the Yangwei army, which was the foundation for Min Yulin's army to rise again. After stationing the advance guard outside the city, Min Yulin, Su Ying, and the others followed Lin Muyu into Winter Frost City. The city wall that had been damaged in the tragic battle a few years ago had been repaired. Due to the arrival of the Longdan army camp, a new city wall was built outside Winter Frost City, which nearly doubled the size of the city. Merchants, cultivators, hunters, and civilians gathered in the city. Most of them were attracted by the mineral veins of Bronze Helmet Mountain. Winter Frost City was now quite prosperous, no longer as desolate as it used to be. Lin Muyu rode on treading snow and followed the crowd. Beside her, Min Yulin was riding on a black horse. He looked at everything around him and was filled with emotion. Back then, the Yangwei Legion had been trapped in this desolate city. They had to kill horses and eat meat. In the end, they had to dig up worms to fill their stomachs. Shihua and the other despicable people had even cooked the corpses of the dead. Now that they had returned to this place, Min Yulin's heart was in turmoil. After seeing through Min Yulin's thoughts, Lin Muyu smiled playfully. Marquis, now the population of Winter Frost City is close to 1 million, and the army is close to 200,000. It's the first city to guard the eastern region and resist the Devil Army. Min Yulin had heard a little about the war between the Empire and the Devil race. He cupped his fists and said respectfully, King Qin, you're a great man. Without you, the Qin Empire would have been torn apart. You flatter me, Marquis. I'm just doing what I should do. Lin Muyu nodded and thought about it. She had received Qin Yin's kindness in Lanyan City. At least in this world, as a subject and Qin Yin's lover, this was what she should do, because it was the responsibility of a man. The city lord's mansion had already been renovated and replaced with a plaque with the words, Qin King's Mansion, written in gold. Everything was done by Situ-shui. This female general was able to defend against the enemy and manage the mansion. She was indeed a rare treasure for the valiant dragon army. Min Yulin raised his head to look at the golden board. He didn't feel good about it. Back then, Lin Muyu had followed the army as the Sacred Hall's Grand Deacon, and Min Yulin had looked down on him. But now, it was this young man who had toppled the demon race and the Iha kingdom, single-handedly creating the era of the great Qin Empire's 3 kings. After entering the King Qin, Min Yulin respectfully, Min Yulin, King Qin, and King. Lin Muyu thought for a moment and said, about 50 kilometers east of Winterfrost City, there is a prefecture called Winterplain Prefecture. It has a population of about 400,000 and is the largest prefecture in the Lingdong province. It has abundant resources and is less than 5 kilometers away from the steel fence. If the devil race attacks the steel fence from the east, Winterplain Prefecture is a place they must pass. So, it's a strategic location and I need a general to guard it. I haven't found a suitable candidate, but now that Marquis is back, I can go. Yes. Min Yulan saluted and said, once the vanguard is rested, I will immediately lead them to Winterplain Prefecture. No, there's no hurry. Lin Muyu smiled and said, I still need to replenish your army with soldiers, equipment, horses, and provisions. There's no hurry. Besides, the vanguard can't be called the vanguard anymore. It has to be reorganized into the Yangwei army. I will replenish the Yangwei army to 50,000 soldiers as soon as possible. Then, I will ask Brother Feng and Yen to transfer new soldiers from Lingnan and Lingbei to restore the Yangwei army to 100,000 soldiers. In addition, Marquis Seal and Tiger Amulet also need to be reforged, which will take time. Before everything is ready, Marquis can stay in King Qin's mansion. Min Yulan trembled. He was just a defeated general who had defected to the enemy, but Lin Muyu put him in such an important position. How could he bear it? He hurriedly stepped back and knelt on the ground, making a deep salute. I, Min Yulan, thank King Qin for your grace. Lin Muyu quickly helped him up. Marquis, you don't have to be so polite. In my eyes, you will always be an important minister of the empire. Although the Devil clan has retreated to Tongtian province, they still have their strength. The empire needs a general like you who can fight. Yes, I will repay the empire with my life. In fact, Lin Muyu knew very well that Min Yulan was too proud to surrender to the Devil clan, which was why he had been imprisoned in the Devil's Ceiling Valley for 5 years. Min Zhan and Suing had really surrendered, but Min Yulan had never surrendered to the Devil clan. As for Min Zhan and Suing had to do it for Min Yulan's safety, while Min Zhan was eager to protect his father. At the same time, he was frightened by the Devil clan's army. It was understandable. From the fact that they besieged the Divine Shadow City but didn't kill any innocent people, it could be seen that these former soldiers of the Yangwei army still had a conscience and were always loyal to the empire. They could be of great use to the empire. After entering the hall, a maid carried a delicate cage and handed it to Lin Muyu. In the cage, the little cyan swan's wings were even fuller. It spread its tender wings and greeted her as if it recognized its master. Lin Muyu couldn't help but feel warm. She smiled and said, "Little guy, how are you doing in Winter Frost City?" The little cyan swan chirped, but Lin Muyu couldn't understand what it was saying. Situ Shui said respectfully, "The banquet for Marquis Wei is preparing. It will start in 2 hours. Please wait patiently." Min Yulan, Min Zhan, and the others all expressed their gratitude. At this time, a captaincy general walked over. It was Fengshi. He cupped his fists and said, "Your Highness. Princess Ning wants to see you. She said she wants to talk to you." Feng Ning, Yes. The corners of Feng Shi's mouth curled up in a playful smile. "Your Highness, you've returned from the blood-red abyss but you've never gone to see His Highness Ning. He's been thinking about you." "Got it. I'll go now. Lead the way." "Yes." Since Feng Ning had something to say, he might as well listen to her. After all, the war between the Empire and the demons was in a stalemate. The demons were afraid of the power of the magic crystal cannons and the steep steel walls, so they couldn't fight back. On the other hand, the Longdan army camp didn't dare to touch the Tongtian province because the demons had been running the Tongtian province for many years. The land was desolate and the official roads were in disrepair, so they couldn't transport heavy artillery. This stalemate had lasted for 4 years. Maybe it would be good to listen to what Feng Ning had to say. Feng Ninger's residence was in the elegant garden in the backyard of King Qin's mansion. The scenery could be said to be superb. There were pavilions, terraces, mountain rocks, flowing water, and a bamboo forest slowly swaying in the breeze. The only flaw was that the elegant garden was surrounded by the brave dragon battalion guards. There were even arrow boxes on the wall. The brave dragon battalion valued this little demon princess too much, and they couldn't let anything happen to her. Open the door, Fengshi said in a low voice. Several guards immediately bowed respectfully. Greetings, Your Highness. After the door opened, Lin Muyu walked in. He didn't even have time to change out of his advance guard armor. However, it didn't matter. His handsome face was full of calmness and confidence. This kind of temperament wasn't something an ordinary person could have. He could handle it no matter what clothes he wore. Creak, after pushing open the carved wooden door, Feng Ning stood up in a plain dress and bowed respectfully. Feng Ning, greets Your Highness King Qin. There's no need to be so polite, Your Highness Ning. You may rise. Lin Muyu walked into the hall and said, May I know why Your Highness Ning is looking for me? Feng Ning, blinked and said, Your Highness King Qin, do you know how many years it has been since I last saw my father? 6 years. Lin Muyu said without hesitation, You were captured by the Imperial Army in April, 7735, and today is August 21, 7741. As he spoke, he couldn't help but feel a little sentimental. He said, Your Highness Ning has suffered. You've been imprisoned for more than 6 years. If not for your father starting this war, I think Your Highness Ning would still be enjoying your family in the Tongtian Gorge. Feng Ning's beautiful eyes were covered with a layer of mist. She said, I believe Your Highness King Qin is not a cold-blooded person. I've written a letter to my father. I hope Your Highness King Qin will send someone to deliver it to my father. Is that okay? She took out a piece of paper. Lin Muyu glanced at the yellowed rice paper in her hand and said, Your Highness, can I see the contents of the letter? Feng Ning nodded. She knew that this kind of thing couldn't be done carelessly. After all, Lin Muyu was the highest commander of the entire Lingdong province. He didn't dare to be careless. After reading the letter, it was nothing more than words of longing. Lin Muyu used her divine power and carefully observed for a while. There were no tricks on the rice paper, and it wasn't some acrostic poem. She believed that it wasn't about passing on military secrets. She nodded and said, Okay, I'll send someone to deliver the letter to the demons. Your Highness, don't worry. Then, thank you, Your Highness King Qin. Feng Ning slowly bowed and gave an imperial lady's bow. She had stayed in the territory of the empire for so long that she had almost forgotten her identity as a demon. If there's nothing else, I'll return first. There are still many things waiting for me to do, Lin Muyu said indifferently. Also. Feng Ning's eyes flickered with fear. She wanted to say something but stopped. What else is there? Lin Muyu turned around. Also, it's my birthday in half a month. Feng Ning said. Got it. Lin Muyu turned and left without looking back. Feng Ning had already mentioned in the letter that she hoped the Demon Emperor and the humans would have a truce. She also hoped that she could see her father, whom she hadn't seen for 6 years, on her 22nd birthday. Truce? The demonic race was willing, but the humans weren't. This land originally belonged to the Empire. Even if the demonic race surrendered, Lin Muyu would still sweep through the entire Tongtian Gorge and uproot the demonic race from this land. They had done too much to the Empire, they didn't deserve to be forgiven. Chapter 648. On a moonlit night in the courtyard of King Qin's mansion, Lin Muyu stood alone on a pavilion. He looked up at the starry sky. Suddenly, rays of moonlight flowed into his body like flowing water. It was visible to the naked eye. Rays of moonlight energy flowed continuously in his meridians. This made Lin Muyu break out in a cold sweat. The sixth form of the constellation formula, Purple Sun Shakes the Earth, was a powerful attack that combined the law of fire and law of light. The seventh form of the constellation formula was called Falling Moon River. It could only be activated by refining the purest energy in the moonlight. However, it was not easy to practice it. He had not made any progress in the past few months. On the contrary, the divine power in his body began to attack the meridians and joints in his body. Lin Muyu closed his eyes. The rays of golden light on his body were like waves crashing against the entrance of his beer. After the first and second attack, the sweat on Lin Muyu's face increased. Until the ninth attack, an inexplicable pain swept through his body. He could not help but frown. He clenched his fists so hard that a lot of divine power began to leak out. Lin Muyu clenched his teeth and endured the great pain. He continued to attack the entrance of his beer. Finally, a faint light appeared on the surface of his body. A golden wave rose from the soles of his feet and went straight to the entrance of his beer. Finally, under the continuous attack of the divine power, it was the first step of being reborn. If he could not even break through the first small realm of the first heaven of the godly state, then there was no need to talk about the higher realms. Finally, under the continuous impact of the divine lang, it was as if a door had suddenly opened in his mind. With a whoosh, countless psychic powers poured into Lin Muyu's Yi. The pain of cultivation in his body seemed to have completely disappeared at this moment. Instead, countless voices echoed in his ears. He tried hard to distinguish the source of each voice and its specific content. I pray, to be able to eat bread every day. A young and tender voice came from a little girl. Almighty God, I really hope that old woman of mine dies soon. A drunken voice came from a drunkard. I hope I can get a horse head zither. This was the voice of a boy. Lin Muyu closed his eyes. He could hear the prayers of everyone in the entire realm. Was this the power of a god? All of a sudden, these prayers turned into a powerful energy that flowed into her body, quickly replenishing the divine energy that she had used up in her cultivation. Lin Muyu's divine energy rose from 40% to 70% at a rapid speed. On the eaves, Ouyang Yen, who was wearing a red and white dress, clapped her hands and said with a smile, "Congratulations, handsome you, for breaking through the 10th heaven of the 99 heavens of the immortal state and obtaining the power of faith." Faith? Lin Muyu's understanding of God was still at a very poor stage, so much so that she didn't care about the nickname, Handsome Rain, that Ouyang Yen gave her. That's right. Ouyang Yen smiled flirtatiously and crossed one of her legs. She smiled and said, "The immortal state of the heaven realm is not as simple as people think. The ultimate God, Divine King, and Emperor God are each divided into 30 lesser heavens. Take the ultimate God for example, breaking through the 10th heaven will greatly improve your divine consciousness. When your cultivation base is sufficient, you will be able to hear the prayers of humans and the power of these prayers will turn into divine power and be injected into your body. When you break through the 20th heaven, you will be able to understand all things in the natural world and even be able to summon wind and rain. When you break through the 30th heaven, you will be able to condense a divine wall and prevent mortals from hurting you. There are many more. When you break through the 99th heaven, you will be able to step into the highest realm of an emperor god. When you break through the 99th heaven, you will be able to ascend to the Grandmaster heavens and seek a higher cultivation realm. Lin Muyu was stunned and said, then, Ouyang, your cultivation base is at the peak of the Divine King realm. You should already have the power of faith, summon wind and rain, and the divine wall, right? I haven't. Ouyang Yen pouted with a bit of loneliness and said, these abilities are decided by the comprehension of the divine spark. For example, my divine spark was only a forged immortal spark, so after breaking through to the 30th level, I only obtained the power of faith. Calling the wind and summoning the rain and the divine wall are not things I can obtain, but my Lord is different. Oh? How am I different? Your Godhead is the legendary Supreme Godhead, the crystallization of all things in the universe. With your comprehension, every time you break through the 10th heaven, you will be able to understand one type of God's ability. Therefore, gods are also divided into different levels. What do you mean? According to the god's ability comprehended, if you can only listen to prayers, then you are just a ghost immortal. If you can summon wind and rain, then you are a human immortal. If you can condense the divine wall, then you are an earth immortal. Above that are immortals and heavenly immortals. Ouyang Yen said in a desolate tone, therefore, even if some people cultivate to the level of a god emperor, they are still just ghost immortals. For example, Luo Lan. The reason why he made all the people of Iha nation worship him was because he wanted to use the power of faith to speed up his cultivation. Unfortunately, this unlucky bastard actually met a freak who was born with a supreme godhead. Lin Muyu didn't get angry and said, it doesn't matter. You just need to cultivate more in the future. You will break through eventually. Thank you for your auspicious words. Ouyang Yen suddenly tilted her head and said with a smile, handsome you, other than Qin Yin, is there anyone else you love the most? I heard from that blabbermouth Duke Wei that you also love Tang Xiaoxi and Chu Yao very much, is that right? Lin Muyu was stunned. Io, don't listen to his nonsense, I am not that kind of person. Humph, is that so? Ouyang Yen lied lazily in the air. Suddenly, her long dress flowed down her body like water, so that a pair of perky peaks could be grasped with one hand, and her round and slender legs were crossed in a rather charming posture. She looked at Lin Muyu with a smile and said, handsome you, tell me, compared to Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, and Chu Yao, who is more feminine? Lin Muyu almost blurted out, you, but she tried hard to control it. She coughed and said, Ouyang, I am a god, are you trying to confuse me with your appearance? God? Ouyang Yen suddenly burst into laughter and said, my handsome you think too highly of the gods. Do you think that all the gods in the heaven realm can restrain their desires and greed? You are wrong. Sometimes, the gods are greedier and more stupid than humans. For example, a lower god like Luo Lan. Moreover, the intercourse between the gods is equal to a kind of transaction. It is an interaction in terms of laws, mutual use. You sound so experienced, you must have done this kind of thing many times. Lin Muyu said lightly. Ouyang Yen laughed tenderly, what are you talking about? I am not that kind of person, I am still a virgin. I suddenly regret bringing you back from the demon's ceiling valley. Lin Muyu said expressionlessly. Ouyang Yen giggled, humph, you want to renege on your promise? It's too late, anyway, I, Ouyang Yen, have already set my mind on you and will always follow you. Sigh, don't say these useless things. Lin Muyu sighed softly and asked, Ouyang, how can I help you refine your godhood? Well, Ouyang Yen nodded and said, I need a large number of spirit stones to replenish my lost divine power. You also know that I cultivate the heart-devouring secret art, which can devour the spiritual power of spirit stones to cultivate. In addition, there is a more convenient way, which is to give me a godhood, or even a broken godhood. This can also help me refine a godhood, but this godhood must be of the law of fire, otherwise it will conflict with my laws and will instead devour me. Godhood of the law of fire? Lin Muyu pondered for a moment, and suddenly her mind lit up. She remembered that there was a godhood fragment in her cosmos sack. She had refined one of the 2 godhood fragments she obtained in the tomb of King Huai, but she never had time to refine the other one, so she left it in her cosmos sack. So she immediately took it out of the cosmos sack. The small fragment in her palm was enshrouded with a fiery luster. There was no doubt that it was a godhood fragment of the law of fire. Oh my god, Ouyang Yen could not remain calm. She floated down from the sky and said, where did you get this kind of godhood fragment? I stole it from a grave robber. Lin Muyu told her the truth. Ouyang Yen could not help but laugh. She tilted her head and looked at him, as if she was re-examining this future dominator who had a supreme godhood. She smiled and said, so a god like you also knows how to rob a grave, the past is unbearable to look back on. Don't mention it. Lin Muyu held the godhood. This godhood was stolen from the tomb of King Huai together with Tang Xiaoxi. Now that she saw it again, she could not help but recall Tang Xiaoxi's sweet smile. In the blink of an eye, they had been separated for 4 years. Although he was still brooding over the fact that Tang Xiaoxi had killed Qin Yin, it would be a lie to say that he did not miss her. Lin Muyu held the godhood fragment and said, "This is a godhood fragment of the law of fire at the god-king level. See if you can refine it. You really want to give it to me? This is a priceless treasure." Ouyang Yen said in astonishment. "It doesn't matter. You are mine. Even if I give you a priceless treasure, it won't be considered a waste of money." Lin Muyu said lightly. "Good, that's great." Ouyang Yen received the divine spark and was overjoyed. She threw herself into Lin Muyu's arms and kissed him on the cheek. "If you weren't so young, I would definitely marry you." Ouyang Yan's face was filled with a sweet fragrance. Lin Muyu was extremely embarrassed. His body shook slightly and he gently pushed Ouyang Yen away. He said, "Don't be like this. I can't take it if you're too passionate. Focus on your cultivation." "Yes, master." "Don't call me master. It sounds weird. But you said that I am yours. Naturally, you are my master." "What, you don't want me anymore?" Ouyang Yen put on a pitiful look as if she had him in her grasp. Lin Muyu felt a headache coming on. He said, "Forget it. Whatever. I'm going to sleep. Goodbye, master." Chapter 649. At this moment, 100 meters below the divine capital in the sky-piercing gorge, a beautiful girl was frozen in a huge crystal. It had been 4 years, but she didn't seem to have changed at all. She was still breathtakingly beautiful. Strands of fiery god force surrounded her body. Outside the crystal, the Demon King, the Sage Master, and Qianfeng were all standing there. "Tang Xiaoxi, are you still not willing to wake up?" The Demon King raised his head to look at the girl in the crystal. He even suspected that he would fall in love with her if he continued to look at her. She was simply too perfect. Qianfeng's gaze and the Sage Master's words made the two of them nod at the same time. Qianfeng said in a deep voice, "Tang Xiaoxi, Lin Muyu came to the divine capital to look for you. Did you know that? He wants to see you." Buzz buzz buzz, a series of buzzing sounds came from the crystal. "He almost died in the divine capital for you. If you still don't wake up, we can't guarantee that Lin Muyu won't die under our attacks the next time he comes." The corner of Qianfeng's mouth curled up as he smiled. Hiss, hiss, cracks appeared on the crystal, and the flames inside burned even more intensely. At this moment, Tang Xiaoxi finally opened her eyes. It was a pair of eyes that looked like a god looking down on the world. The fiery god force around her continued to erupt, and the crystal finally started to crack. In the next moment, there was a loud boom as the crystal exploded, forcing Qianfeng and the Demon King to retreat dozens of meters. Whoosh, 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 the flames surrounded Tang Xiaoxi's feet. She floated in the air and looked at Qianfeng with her big eyes. She said, "Mu, he." At this moment, the Sage Master suddenly shouted with all his might, "Tang Xiaoxi, are you still not going to repent? You killed Qin Yin. Do you think Lin Muyu will forgive you? You killed hundreds of thousands of innocent people in Hundred Ridge City. Your hands are stained with blood. Do you think a whore like you is worthy of Lin Muyu's love? Give up, you're just a bad woman." What did you say?" Tang Xiaoxi suddenly hugged her head and wailed in pain. However, she didn't notice that the sacred saint's psychic power was eroding her thoughts, mind manipulation. I'm not. Tang Xiaoxi's body trembled violently. Suddenly, she let out a blood-curdling scream. A wave of flames swept out in all directions. Immediately, the walls of the underground palace began to crack. The entire main hall of the divine capital was already on the verge of collapse. In the blink of an eye, it began to collapse. God damn it! The Demon King was furious. Lin Muyu destroyed my palace. Are you going to destroy my palace too? The sage tried his best to control Tang Xiaoxi's mind and shouted, Qianfeng, protect the Demon King. Yes. Qianfeng unsheathed his sword and unleashed his guru demon force. Then, he slashed at the falling boulder. Hundreds of high-level demons were dumbfounded. Most of the cultivators below the immortal state would not be able to withstand the impact of a 100-meter-thick boulder. Since Qianfeng would not save them, the only thing that awaited them was death. Buzz. Buzz. Buzz, the entire mountain range was trembling, and one thick rock after another fell down, smashing the high-level demons who didn't have time to dodge into a pile of meat paste. Meanwhile, Qianfeng was shuttling back and forth in the air like a bolt of lightning. His sword light was filled with divine power, and he chopped down one rock after another. The Demon King also flew up, constantly raising his palm to defend against the falling rocks. The one who suffered the most was none other than the Saint Sovereign. He had to endure the continuous bombardment of the giant rocks, and a wisp of blood-red energy was connected to Tang Xiaoxi's forehead. He was a person who excelled in using bewitchment, and his mind manipulation art had already reached its peak. He had placed too much hope in Tang Xiaoxi, and he knew that success or failure depended on this one move. If Tang Xiaoxi could be subdued, the demon race still had hope. Otherwise, they could only wait for their territory to be nibbled away by the Empire, and finally, Lin Muyu would kill her way into the Heaven's Bridge Gorge and annihilate the entire race. Tang Xiaoxi's body was trembling. The fire divine power around her skyrocketed. The rocks that fell on her head couldn't hurt her at all. They were all turned into powder a few meters away. The whole Tongtian Gorge was shaking. It was as if the sky was falling and the earth was cracking. Far away, the armor demons who were training at the foot of the mountain looked at the imperial city in shock. They saw the imperial city disappear from the mountain in an instant. Dust and smoke were flying everywhere. It had become a purgatory on earth. After a while, in the flying dust, Qianfeng guarded the Demon King with his sword. He said in a low voice, "Your Majesty, are you okay?" "I'm fine." "Where's the sacred saint?" The Demon King was more concerned about the result of the sacred saint. Not far away, under a huge rock, an arm suddenly pushed the rock away. The sacred saint stood up in a sorry state. His body was covered in blood, but he laughed wildly. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Finally. Finally, I can control the nine-tailed celestial race. Our celestial race is saved. Our celestial race is saved. Ha ha ha. In front of the sacred saint, Tang Xiaoxi's eyes turned golden. She gently landed on the ground and bowed to the sacred saint without saying a word. "You really controlled the nine-tailed celestial race?" "Yes." The sacred saint nodded. "Your Majesty, rest assured. This subordinate's mind manipulation technique has subdued Tang Xiaoxi's soul. From now on, she is one of us." "Good. That's great." The Demon King walked forward and asked, "Tang Xiaoxi, do you know who I am?" "You are the celestial race's emperor, Your Majesty." "Good. Then do you know who you are?" "I." Tang Xiaoxi suddenly frowned in pain. Tears swirled in her eyes. She said painfully, I don't know, it's okay." The Demon King reached out and placed his hand on Tang Xiaoxi's shoulder. "From now on, you are my third daughter. You will still be called Tang Xiaoxi, but you are the third princess of the celestial race. Do you understand?" "I understand, Your Majesty." Tang Xiaoxi's face was expressionless, without a trace of emotion. The Demon King was not angry. Instead, he laughed. The divine power in Tang Xiaoxi's body was a mixture of the law of fire and the peerless demonic power. It was the power that the demon race needed the most. At this time, a group of winged race people flew over. One of them with a military rank landed in front of the demon king. He knelt on the ground and raised the letter in his hand. Your Majesty, a letter from little Prince Feng Ning Ning-er's letter? The demon king stretched out his hand and snatched the letter. He read it word by word and could not help but feel a lump in his throat. Feng Ning-er was his most beloved daughter. Now, she had been imprisoned by the humans for 6 years. He had not seen her for 6 years. He wanted to see her, but he could not. Who could understand this kind of pain? What's wrong, Your Majesty? Qianfeng asked. Read it yourself. Qianfeng finished reading the letter and said, Your Majesty, Her Highness Ning-er's 22nd birthday. She is only a day and a night away from us. Perhaps, we can arrange for Your Majesty to celebrate Her Highness Ning-er's 22nd birthday. What do you mean? The demon king was stunned. Qianfeng narrowed his eyes and smiled. If Her Highness Ning-er insists on meeting Your Majesty, and Lin Muyu is known to be generous, why don't we beat her at her own game and kill 2 birds with 1 stone? We can pretend to celebrate Her Highness Ning-er's birthday and have Lin Muyu escort Her Highness to somewhere between the Tongtian province and the Lingdong province. Then, we can use Tang Xiaoxi's power and Lin Muyu's feelings for Tang Xiaoxi to kill Lin Muyu in one fell swoop and take back Her Highness Ning-er. What do you think? Good, very good. The demon king laughed. Then write a reply. Tell Lin Muyu to arrange for me and Ning-er to meet no matter what. No matter how outrageous his request is, she must agree. Yes, leave this matter to me. Good. At noon the next day, after lunch, the letter from the demon race arrived. Everyone had not dispersed yet. After passing the letter around, Lin Muyu said, There is no such thing as a good banquet. The demon race might be planning a Hongmen banquet for us, Your Highness, what is a Hongmen banquet? Wei Chou was stunned. Lin Muyu was also stunned. In any case, it is a banquet to take advantage of the opportunity to get rid of us. This is nothing. We are not afraid. At most, it is up to us to choose. Wei Chou smiled confidently. The only problem we have to consider is what kind of request we can make for the demon race. Request. Lin Muyu played with Qin Wang's golden tiger tally in her hand. Since Feng Yuan wants to take advantage of the opportunity to get rid of us, then we might as well be ruthless. His condition for seeing Ning-er is very simple. Within 7 days, all the demon race troops will leave Heaven Connect City. 10 days later, our Longdan army camp will be stationed in Heaven Connect City. 10 days is enough for us to transport 100 magic crystal cannons into Heaven Connect City. Min Yulan said, I am afraid that Feng Yuan may not agree. After all, Heaven Connect City is the core of Heaven Connect Province. It is the foundation of the demon race's foothold in Heaven Connect Province. He will not easily agree. That is why we made this request. Lin Muyu nodded. If the demon race agrees, it means that they really want to take advantage of the opportunity to get rid of me. If they don't, it means that they are not sincere and there is no need to discuss further. To the side, Ouyang Yen said, Handsome you, how can you be sure that you can escape from Feng Yuan's grasp? Since he is so confident, it means that he has made thorough preparations. Lin Muyu slowly took out a dagger from her bosom. It was an upper-grade heavenly book. She smiled and said, This is the source of my confidence. I just received this upper-grade heavenly book the day before yesterday. It comes from Lanyan City's Heavenly Book Pavilion. It is the work of that idiot Lu Feng. It can instantly teleport over 100 people. We will only bring 100 people with us. If we can win, we will fight. If not, We will leave. We will be invincible. Everyone laughed. Your Highness King Qin is wise and mighty. We are in awe. Lin Muyu smiled and waved her hand. Ah Shui, reply to the demon race and state our conditions for Heaven Connect City. In addition, we want them to add 20,000 cows, 50,000 sheep, 100,000 chickens, 5,000 carts of iron ore, 1,000 carts of silver ore, 100 carts of gold ore, 10,000 jin of jewels, and 5,000 warhorses. It is decided. Wei Chou could not help but narrow his eyes. This is indeed an inhumane condition. You want Feng Yuan to pay for his coffin. Chapter 650. He's going too far. The Demon Emperor slammed the letter heavily on the table. His face was slightly withered due to the cultivation of demonic arts, like old tree bark that kept opening and closing. There was no concealment of killing intent in his eyes as he said, "It's fine if he wants our god race to give up Heaven Connect City, but this guy actually wants 20,000 cows, 50,000 sheep, 100,000 chickens, 5,000 carts of iron ore, 1,000 carts of silver ore, 100 carts of gold ore, 10,000 jin of jewels, and 5,000 warhorses. He's simply robbing us." On the side, eldest Princess Feng Jing sat next to Qian Feng and said, "Imperial Father, please calm down. Lin Muyu is just like this. He's a despicable, shameless, and heartless villain. Relying on Imperial Father's longing for Ning, he asked for so many bargaining chips. Humph, he must have no good intentions. Imperial Father, please consider carefully. Marshal Qian Feng, what do you think?" The Demon Emperor turned his gaze to Qian Feng. Qian Feng's eyes were calm as he cupped his fists and said, "Your Majesty, Lin Muyu has asked for so many resources from our god race. He must have no intention of agreeing to your Majesty's request to see His Royal Highness Ning, I think, why don't we beat him at his own game and agree to give up Heaven Connect City first, then make an appointment to see His Royal Highness Ning, and take the opportunity to get rid of Lin Muyu. Once Lin Muyu is dead, how can a mere Wei Chou resist our god race's heavenly army? Your Majesty, please make a decision." This. The Demon Emperor pondered and did not speak. No. At this time, a middle-aged high-ranking demon race general sitting below Qian Feng stood up, the 5-star demon sect emblem on his chest flashing. His eyes narrowed as he smiled, "It's too risky to give up Heaven Connect City. I don't agree with Marshal Qian Feng's plan. Once Lin Muyu beats him at his own game, won't we end up with nothing?" The one who spoke was Dong Xie, one of the 15 demon race elders. He was meticulous and also the commander of the 2nd Legion after Lei Chang's death. He was one of the new 2 marshals of the demon race, an existence on equal footing with Qian Feng. Qian Feng was not angry at the other's words. He said lightly, "Marshal Dong Xie, don't be angry. Listen to me. Please speak. First of all, Heaven Connect City is not really given to the humans. I think Marshal Dong Xie should understand the geography of Heaven Connect City. This city is at the heart of Heaven Connect Province. There are a total of 37 cities around it, all of which are controlled by our god race. Even if Lin Muyu obtains Heaven Connect City, we will still be in an invincible position. Secondly, as long as we cut off all supplies to Heaven Connect City, we can guarantee that Lin Muyu's army will lose their reinforcements and be trapped in Heaven Connect City. Finally, we need a complete magic crystal cannon to disassemble and study it. Otherwise, the god race will never be able to grasp this technology." When he finished speaking, Qian Feng smiled modestly, "This general has finished speaking. If your Majesty and Marshal Dong Xie have any objections, then there is nothing else I can do." The Demon King narrowed his eyes, waiting for Dong Xie's response. Dong Xie held his teacup and thought for a long time. Finally, he said, "Very well, then we will do as Marshal says and give up Heaven Connect City. The Demon King nodded. In that case, Marshal Qianfeng will be fully in charge of all matters this time. Thank you for your approval, Father. However, this plan still needs Marshal Dong Xie to carry out with me. Marshal Dong Xie, please immediately transfer elite troops from the 2nd Corps to Yanming County, Winter County, and Zigui County. Station 10,000 armor demons in each county city. Once we move, we will cut off the communication between Heaven Connect City and the south, making it difficult for the Empire's army in Heaven Connect City to escape. Yes, this general obeys. The Demon King sat there expressionlessly, his eyes gleaming. He glanced at Tang Xiaoxi not far away and said, Xiaoxi, do you understand what you need to do? Kill Lin Muyu. Tang Xiaoxi's eyes were covered with golden light as she said ruthlessly and decisively. Very good. The Demon King couldn't help laughing. I have Xiaoxi, Qianfeng, and Dong Xie. It's enough to pacify the eastern region. Lin Muyu. I, Feng Yuan, will take your life. Crack. The teacup was crushed, turning into fine powder that flowed down from the Demon King's fingers. It was September 1, 7741 of the Empire calendar. There were only 3 days before Lin Muyu's birthday. The demon race's garrison in Heaven Connect City had been evacuated. When Lin Muyu led the 50,000 Longdan army camp troops into the city, she was welcomed by the common people. The demon race had been in Heaven Connect City for so long that the common people had almost forgotten the peaceful years. The Emperor's grace was like a good rain after a long drought. The common people cheered loudly to welcome the Empire's army into Heaven Connect City. Colorful flags fluttered in the air and the sound of drums and gongs shook the sky. Wei Chou held the reins and walked side by side with Lin Muyu. He said with a smile, Your Highness, it's been a long time since I've seen such a scene. Yes, the common people of Heaven Connect City must have not seen such a scene for a long time. Heaven Connect City, the first city taken from the Empire by the demon race, finally returned to the embrace of the Empire. Although Lin Muyu, Wei Chou, and the others knew that this city was not that simple. Pass down the order. After entering the city, start to search the whole city. In addition, set up the magic crystal cannons we brought on the city wall. Lin Muyu looked around cautiously and said, Qianfeng has no reason to give us Heaven Connect City so easily. Yes. Wei Chou nodded. In fact, Your Highness, we received news 3 days ago that tens of thousands of armor demons of the second demon race have entered Yanming County, Zigui County, and other counties. Qianfeng's intention is too obvious. He wants to trap us in Heaven Connect City. Lin Muyu smiled. Qianfeng is afraid of the power of our magic crystal cannons in positional warfare, so he wants to fight hand-to-hand with us in the complicated terrain of Heaven Connect Province. He wants to use the concentrated forces of the county cities to divide our front line, so that we can't care about the front and the back, and then divide and annihilate them. This is a good plan, but unfortunately, he has overlooked another person. Wei Chou smiled knowingly. Your Highness, once Qianfeng falls out with us, Heaven Connect City will inevitably become the first city to be attacked. We must be prepared. Yes, I know. In the evening, the people of the demon race came. As a temporary peace negotiation, dozens of high-level demon generals entered Heaven Connect City together, followed by countless cattle and sheep. In addition, large carts filled with iron ore also came one after another, showing the people in the Longdan army camp the richness of the demon race for the first time. Their resources were not inferior to Lanyan City at all. The person with the highest military rank among the group of demon generals was an old acquaintance, Lian Shao, one of Qianfeng's right-hand men. General of the God race, Lian Shao, greets Your Highness King Qin. Outside the city lord's mansion, Lian Shao saluted with the etiquette of the human empire. The degree of respect was frightening, which directly shocked Situ Sen who was beside Lin Muyu. He whispered, when did the general of the demon race become so grandson? It must be something bad. Your Highness, please be careful. Don't worry. Lin Muyu walked forward and held Lian Zhao's arm, smiling. General Lian Zhao, there is no need to be so polite. Now that our two countries have made peace, it will be His Highness Ning's birthday in 3 days. I will also personally accompany His Highness Ning to see the Demon Emperor. We are all family, there is no need to be so polite in the future. Lian Jin lowered his head and rolled his eyes. He felt that this handsome Prince of Qin was simply too shameless. How could he say such shameless words? How could he be a prince of a town? He was more like a shameless businessman with a smile on his face. However, his face was still full of respect as he smiled and said, Your Highness Prince of Qin is right. Your Highness, may I see His Highness Ning? This is not urgent. Lin Muyu smiled. In any case, I will send His Highness Ning to see the Demon Emperor in 3 days. It's the God Emperor, who cares about him? It's about time. General Lian Zhao, have the promised resources been delivered? Are they all here? Lian Zhao was slightly embarrassed. He said, It is not easy to prepare in a hurry. The iron, silver, and gold mines are only half ready. However, the 20,000 cows, 50,000 sheep, and 100,000 chickens that Your Highness requested are all ready. They have been driven into the city. Your army's officer is currently sorting them out. The person doing the sorting was Sida Shui, the housekeeper of the Longdan army camp. That's good. You still owe us gold, silver, and jewelry. I hope the Demon Emperor can prepare them as soon as possible. Yes, we will. Lian Zhao had a stomach full of complaints. He felt like he would vomit if he looked at Lin Muyu any longer. How could there be such a difficult person in the world? He was one of the rulers of the human empire. At night, after seeing off Lian Zhao, Lin Muyu ordered the slaughter of 1,000 sheep to reward the soldiers of the Longdan army camp. Tonight, everyone had the same meal: roast mutton, stir-fried mutton tripe, stir-fried mutton giblets, and mutton soup. After all, Winter Province was poor. There were hundreds of thousands of soldiers in the Longdan army camp. It was almost impossible to eat meat. This was the first time for many people to eat meat in 3 years, so they were very happy. At the dinner, Situsen used chopsticks to pick a few plates of mutton in the copper cauldron in front of him. He couldn't help but turn green. Why is it all mutton? It has such a strong smell. How can it go with wine? Your Highness, why don't we slaughter a few cows for a sumptuous meal? Slaughter cows? No, these cows are still useful. Oh? What's the use? Lin Muyu stood up respectfully and gave a military salute to Feng Ning. She said, Her Highness Ning has lived in the empire for 6 years. Now she is going to see her father. I'm very reluctant. It's like I'm marrying off my daughter. How can I not prepare a gift for her? But our Longdan army camp is poor, so we can only offer Buddha with borrowed flowers. I will wash these 20,000 cows and cover them with red cloth as a gift to the Demon Emperor. What do you think, Her Highness Ning? Feng Ning blushed. It's all up to Your Highness King Qin. Thank you for your concern and consideration. Yes, that's for sure. Wei Chou had already seen through the mystery, but he still drank his wine calmly as if it had nothing to do with him. Chapter 651. 3 days later, Feng Ning's 22nd birthday was around the corner. Qianfeng and the Nephilim King had chosen a small town called Cold Wind Town, 20 kilometers north of Heaven Connect City. According to their agreement, each party could not lead more than 1,000 people. Therefore, the Nephilim King strictly followed this agreement. Qianfeng and Dong Xie selected 1,000 high-level elites of the Nephilim King to attend Feng Ning's business banquet. Cold Wind Town was originally a dilapidated and barren village. Now, it was flourishing because of this banquet. The Nephilim King had set up hundreds of large tents in advance. All kinds of rare animals, fruits, and delicacies filled the tables. Hundreds of maids enslaved by the Nephilim King from Winter Frost City and Heaven Connect City were serving here. At the southern entrance of Cold Wind Town, the Nephilim King, Sage Master, Qianfeng, and the others were already waiting on their warhorses. The appointed time was noon, and Heaven Connect City was only 20 kilometers away. Lin Muyu should be sending Feng Ning over soon. This time, the Nephilim King was determined to win. Even if he couldn't kill Lin Muyu, he would at least take Feng Ning away. His most beloved daughter had been imprisoned in the Empire for far too long, so much so that he was about to wear out his eyes. His muddy old eyes looked into the distance and were filled with eagerness. Even his hand that was holding the reins was trembling. "Your Majesty." Sage Master could see the joy in the Nephilim King's heart. He cupped his fists and smiled. "Congratulations, Your Majesty, for being able to see Her Highness Ning again soon." The Nephilim King laughed. "Ha ha ha. I should thank Sage Master. If not for you and Marshal Qianfeng, I'm afraid I would not have the chance to see Ning again. I don't know if Ning has she been bullied by the humans?" Qianfeng smiled. "Don't worry, Father. The people I sent have already sent back news. Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing are both gentlemen. They did not touch Her Highness at all." The Nephilim King snorted coldly. "Even so, Lin Muyu still has to die." "Yes, I understand." It was at this moment that the mooing of cows suddenly came from afar. Very soon, herds of cows with red celebratory cloths tied around their bodies appeared to the south of the town. They were herded by a group of human soldiers, and at the same time, there were rows of carriages. There were at least 100 of them, and the person who was escorting them was none other than Duke Wei Chou. He was dressed in the armor of a high-ranking imperial officer, and he looked like he had achieved success at a young age. "What's going on?" the Nephilim King asked with a frown. A demon general immediately raised his arm and said loudly, "Halt! Why is there a herd of cows instead of Her Highness? Please explain what's going on." Wei Chou immediately cupped his fists and smiled. "Greetings, Your Majesty, Duke Wei of the Qin Empire." Wei Chou greets Your Majesty, Marshal Qianfeng, and Marshal Dong Xie. "Her Highness Ning is being escorted by His Highness King Qin, and she will arrive within an hour. His Highness King Qin said that there must be a gift for Her Highness Ning's birthday. So, Your Majesty, please take a look. There are a total of 30 carriages of brocade, 20 carriages of gold beads, 50 carriages of silver beads, and 20,000 fat cows to present to Your Majesty. Would Lin Muyu be so kind?" Dong Xie said with a frown, full of wariness. Wei Chou had a bright smile on his face. "What are you talking about, Marshal Dong Xie? The demon race was originally the owner of the Heaven's Gorge, and they even existed on this shattered cauldron realm continent before us humans. Speaking of which, we are the guests, and the demon race is the master. It's not that we humans don't understand the relationship between the host and the guest, and His Highness King Qin is a righteous person. The Empire has long been tired of this kind of endless war. As long as the demon race agrees not to send their troops out of the Heaven's Gorge, our two sides can naturally coexist peacefully on this continent. What do you think, Your Majesty?" Wei Chou's words were extremely pleasing to the ears, and the Nephilim King actually couldn't refute him. He snorted coldly and said, "Duke Wei has a glib tongue, and I am ashamed of my inferiority. However, since His Highness King Qin has given us such a generous gift, it would be impolite of us to refuse. Men, accept the gift and send it to the West Barracks." "Yes. Wait a moment. Qianfeng suddenly shouted in a low voice. Immediately, Wei Chao's expression was no longer as calm as before. He smiled faintly and said, "What is it? Marshal Qianfeng has something to say." "Huh." Qianfeng laughed casually. "How can we not take a look at His Highness King Qin's generous gift? Men, inspect every carriage carefully. Listen carefully, inspect carefully." "Yes." A group of high-level demon race rode forward and used their swords to stab into the goods of the carriages, inspecting if there were any living people hidden, magic crystal cannons, or other things that could not be seen. In the eyes of the demon race, Lin Muyu was simply too cunning, and they had to be on guard against him. Even if they were to be on guard against him, it would be of no use. After stabbing randomly, the demon race soldiers returned and reporting to Marshal, "There is no problem. Everything is real gold, silver, and luxurious brocade." "Oh," Qianfeng responded, but his sword-like eyebrows were tightly knitted. He knew Lin Muyu too well. She was such a smart person, and she was like a miser when it came to strategic resources. She would go to war with the demon race for a coal mine that was only enough to cook a few meals, not to mention these carriages of gold, silver, and treasures in front of him. Personally riding forward, Qianfeng reached out and fished out a handful of gold beads. It was indeed gold. He frowned and turned to look at a herd of cows. These cows had bells hanging on their necks, jingling in the wind. Their backs were wrapped in thick red brocade embroidered with golden patterns. It was very beautiful. Reaching out to pat the cow's back, Qianfeng lowered his head and muttered to himself. However, he glanced at Wei Chou in the distance out of the corner of his eyes. However, Wei Chou didn't look at him at all. Instead, he looked at Cold Wind Town in the distance as if he was looking forward to the birthday banquet in Cold Wind Town very much. It was probably because the Longdan army camp was too poor that this Duke Wei hadn't eaten anything good for 4 whole years. "Marshal Qianfeng, that's enough," the demon emperor suddenly said with some displeasure. After all, Qianfeng was so cautious that many soldiers in the Longdan army camp laughed at him. If Qianfeng was still cautious, he might become the laughing stock of the human race. The demon emperor didn't want to lose his face. "Yes, father." Qianfeng rode back and nodded, saying, "All right. Someone, send this group of goods and cows to the west camp. Send them back to Immortal's capital tomorrow." "Yes, Marshal." A group of demon soldiers came forward to drive the cows. For the demons, cows were good things. Otherwise, they could be used to plow the land and feed the armor demons. Without such large livestock, the hundreds of thousands of armor demons in the Tongtian Gorge wouldn't be able to survive at all. Those idiots not only had strong fighting strength, but also had a good appetite. As a result, the north of the Tongtian Gorge had been turned into a grassland for the demons to graze. Wei Chou led nearly 100 people and waited with the demon emperor and Qianfeng. Soon, the sound of blowing and beating came from afar. Immediately, Wei Chou smiled. It was Lin Muyu and Feng Ning. Moreover, they had brought the temporary team of musicians from Heaven Connect City. The melody they were playing was simply too horrible to look at. Far away, Lin Muyu was riding in the front on the treading-in snow warhorse. Behind her was a splendid carriage. Needless to say, it was Feng Ning's carriage. The demon emperor couldn't help but feel a little excited. He looked over and murmured, "Ning, father." Qianfeng said in a low voice, "Don't worry, they will be here soon." After all, this was a negotiation between the two countries. The demon emperor didn't want to lose his identity as a god. After all, in the depths of his heart, the god race was the real ruler of this continent. He was the real emperor of this continent. When the guards of honor were very close, Lin Muyu turned over and dismounted. She cupped her fists and smiled at the demon emperor. She patted the door of the carriage and said, "Your Highness Ning, we have arrived." When the curtain was lifted, Feng Ning's pretty face was filled with tears. When she saw the demon emperor, she finally couldn't help but cry. She jumped down and threw herself into her father's arms. "Ning, my good Ning, The demon emperor hugged his daughter tightly. His whole body was trembling. 2 lines of turbid tears flowed out of his eyes. At this moment, he was no longer the arrogant demon emperor. He was just a father. In front of his daughter, a father wouldn't put on airs. They were the most fragile existence. Lin Muyu was almost touched. If one day, she became a god emperor and obtained the power of samsara, would her father, Lin Shun, be the same? He had left his hometown for too long. Some of his memories had already become blurry. He suddenly had mixed feelings. Ever since he came to this continent, he had met his beloved Qin Yin. However, he had been fighting a war for 7 years. This war wasn't over yet. He really didn't know when it would end. Qianfeng smiled and said, "Your Highness Emperor Qin, thank you for bringing His Highness Ning here. Let's go, please come in." "Thank you, Marshal Qianfeng." Lin Muyu handed the warhorse to her attendant, Bai Yin, and walked side by side with Qianfeng. At this moment, the 2 most outstanding commanders of the human race and the demon race finally stood together. It was like a miracle. Situ Sen's hand was on the hilt of his sword. His eyes were filled with vigilance as he looked around. Fengxi's eyes were also solemn. Together with Wei Chou, he looked around. The calmest person was actually Ouyang Yen. Her long dress outlined her exquisite and alluring figure. It was as if she had already made ample preparations for this banquet. If it wasn't for the cold killing intent that flashed through the corner of her eyes when she looked at the demon emperor and the sage sovereign, everyone would think that this goddess really came to congratulate Feng Ning's birthday from the bottom of her heart. Lin Muyu, Wei Chou, and the others had brought a total of 200 people. This banquet wouldn't be a good one. This banquet would always see blood. Lin Muyu was well aware of this, and so was Qianfeng. At this moment, their faces were filled with sunny smiles. The large tent was set up in the square of Cold Wind Town. It was an enormous tent that could accommodate hundreds of people eating together. Inside the tent, maids gathered. Even from afar, one could smell the fragrance of delicious food. Under Qianfeng's arrangement, Lin Muyu and the other human generals sat on one side, while the demon generals sat on the other. As the most powerful people on both sides, Lin Muyu and the demon emperor sat next to each other. Next to Lin Muyu were Wei Chou and Ouyang Yen. Next to the demon emperor were his 2 daughters, Feng Jing and Feng Ning. When they met again after a long time, Feng Jing was already Qianfeng's wife. This could be seen from the way her hair was tied up. "It's been a long time, Commander Yu." Feng Jing smiled. "It's been a long time, Your Highness Jing Lin Muyu returned the greeting. Feng Jing's smile was full of disdain. She said, "Qin Yin is dead. Commander Yu has become one of the 3 kings. You finally got what you wanted. This little girl congratulates Commander Yu." Lin Muyu felt like a knife was twisting in her heart, but she couldn't show it. She said calmly, "Thank you." She didn't need to say anything else. At this time, the demon emperor smiled and said, "Oh yes, Your Highness King Qin, I have another person to introduce to you. She is my 3rd daughter, whom I just reunited with not long ago. You must know her." "What?" Lin Muyu was stunned. "Shao Shi, come out." In the Demon King's call, the bit wall not far away suddenly twisted, and a beautiful figure with a trail of flames appeared in the wind. It was Tang Xiaoxi, who was wearing a long red and white dress. She was so beautiful that she looked like she was carved out of jade, just like before. "Shao Shi," Lin Muyu instantly lost her composure. She sat there in a daze, unable to speak. Chapter 652. Shao Shi, come and greet your highness, Emperor Qin. The corners of the demon emperor's mouth curled up, and there was even a hint of mockery in his eyes. Seeing Lin Muyu's shocked and pained expression was exactly what he wanted to see. Tang Xiaoxi walked gracefully in front of Lin Muyu and bowed. This was the etiquette of a lady in the empire. Her eyes were filled with indifference and coldness, as if she had never known Lin Muyu. She said softly, the god race's third princess, Tang Xiaoxi, greets your highness, Emperor Qin. Lin Muyu slowly stood up and looked at Tang Xiaoxi. His chest hurt, as if thousands of arrows had pierced his heart. His telekinesis could not sense Tang Xiaoxi's emotions at all. The Tang Xiaoxi in front of him was no longer the Princess Shi from before. Greetings, your highness Shi. Lin Muyu cupped his fists and raised his arms, as if he had exhausted all his strength. Only a person who could control his emotions was worthy of being the commander-in-chief of the three armies, and Lin Muyu was such a person. He endured the heart-wrenching pain and had no choice but to face everything in front of him. Tang Xiaoxi had changed. She had become the demon race's third princess. There was no longer any spirituality in her eyes. It was as if she had become another person, and this person did not know Lin Muyu at all. Come, Shao Shi, sit beside Imperial Father, the demon emperor said with an affectionate smile. Tang Xiaoxi nodded and said, yes, Imperial Father. Lin Muyu sat down in a daze, his fists clenched tightly on his legs. Faint golden supreme divine power rippled around him, but he didn't do anything. He was trying his best to control the chaotic energy that was brought about by his emotions. If he couldn't control it, this place would turn into ruins at any moment. Wei Chou looked at Lin Muyu worriedly. Along the way, Wei Chou had personally witnessed the sincere feelings between Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Tang Xiaoxi. He knew how heavy a blow it was for Lin Muyu. After pushing the wine glass forward a few centimeters, Wei Chou asked softly, Your Highness, are you all right? I'm fine. Lin Muyu shook her head slowly. Wei Chou's voice was so soft that it was almost inaudible. Princess Shi's sea of consciousness is in a daze. She must have been bewitched by demonic arts. Your Highness, please don't act rashly. We need to wait for the right opportunity to snatch Princess Shi back and cure her. Yes. Lin Muyu nodded his head forcefully. Wei Chou's words were like a cure that made him feel enlightened. Come, come, come. The demon emperor stood up and said with a smile, Today is Ning Er's 22nd birthday, and it's also the day that the celestial race and the human race form an alliance. Let's drink to our heart's content and look forward to the future of peace and prosperity. Everyone stood up one after another. When the wine entered their throats, it burned their throats. The wine that the demon race drank was usually strong, otherwise, they wouldn't be able to withstand the harsh winter in the Tongtian Gorge. It was no wonder that the high-level demon race was so intelligent and brave. Qianfeng stood up and said with a smile, Since it's an alliance, I hope your Highness King Qin can tell us about it. Let's take this opportunity to draft up the conditions of the alliance. What do you think? That's exactly what we're thinking. Lin Muyu said lightly, Wei Chou, discuss the details of the alliance with Marshal Qianfeng. This. I'll leave it to you. Yes, your Highness. Wei Chou smiled at Qianfeng and drank a cup of wine. Then, they started to discuss the details of the alliance with each other. They kept haggling over the territory in the Tongtian province and the military garrison. It didn't seem like an alliance, but more like a market. Even a small copper mine in the Tongtian province would be debated for a long time. This banquet was destined to be a long one, and Qianfeng and the Demon Emperor wanted to discuss the alliance until the night. Then, they would sign the alliance during the banquet. However, Lin Muyu, Qianfeng, and the Demon Emperor all knew that this alliance was only used to fool fools. The reason why they delayed it until the night was probably because it was more convenient to take action at night. Time passed quickly. Situ Sun, Fengshi, and the others soon mingled with the high-ranking demon race generals. The only thing they had in common was that none of the high-ranking dragon army officers were drunk. Everyone controlled their alcohol tolerance. Some used their battle chi to vent the alcohol, some secretly spat it on their towels, and some only drank 1 cup at a time, leaving half a cup for the fish. Lin Muyu often looked at Tang Xiaoxi, who was a few meters away. Tang Xiaoxi also looked at her, but there was no trace of emotion in Tang Xiaoxi's eyes. Lin Muyu almost didn't dare to look at her again. In the blink of an eye, night fell. Finally, the debate between Wei Chou and Qianfeng came to an end. The clerk at the side had already written more than 10 pages about the division of the Tongtian province and the terms of the separatist regime. However, everyone knew that it was all nonsense. Your Majesty, please present the imperial seal. Qianfeng held the alliance and knelt respectfully in front of the Demon Emperor. The Demon Emperor nodded. He took out the imperial seal with a divine dragon engraved on it from his spatial bag and stamped it on the alliance. Qianfeng passed the tray to Situ Shui. Situ Shui walked over gracefully and knelt on one knee in front of Lin Muyu. She said, "Please present the Emperor Qin's imperial seal." The Emperor Qin's imperial seal was made according to the national policy of the 3 princes. This seal had supreme authority and could make decisions with 1 vote. Its authority was far above the seals of Prince Xian and Prince Zhong. Lin Muyu took out the Emperor Qin's imperial seal. 2 blood-red seals landed on the alliance, 1 for each side. "Is the banquet ready?" the Demon Emperor asked with a smile. Lin Muyu nodded. "I'll listen to the arrangements." "Alright, let's start." A group of demonic musicians started playing a type of stringed instrument. The maids served the sumptuous banquet. The demonic race was indeed overflowing with wealth. Lin Muyu looked at the crowd. Wei Chou, Situ Sun, and the rest were holding a wine glass in one hand while their other hand was already on the hilt of the sword at their waist. The atmosphere of the banquet was even more tense. However, the demonic race didn't make a move. They didn't do anything even after the banquet ended. "Shao Shi, you used to be acquainted with His Highness Emperor Qin. Go and accompany him," the Demon Emperor suddenly said. Lin Muyu frowned. Could it be that the Demon Emperor's real trump card was Tang Xiaoxi? Looking at Wei Chou and the rest, Lin Muyu reached out and patted his shoulder. However, she had unknowingly placed the dagger with the heavenly book of the law of space into Wei Chou's waist. Wei Chou immediately understood and said, "Your Highness, be careful. There's no need to wait for me. Follow the plan." "Yes." Outside the tent, the stars were shining brightly. Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi walked side by side in the small town. A cool breeze blew in the distance, bringing a hint of coolness to the hot night. However, Tang Xiaoxi didn't say a word. She walked slowly without saying a word. It was as if she had nothing to say to Lin Muyu. Behind them, Lianxiao's aura appeared. There was also a group of high-level demonic guards with shields in their hands. Lin Muyu frowned. He tried to use his supreme divine power to attack the wall of space. However, he found that the four-dimensional energy was beginning to become chaotic, as if it was being interfered with. He glanced around and found that the surface of the shields of the guards were glowing red. It was the stalactite-absorbing rock. Qianfeng had indeed planned everything. He used the stalactite-absorbing rock to interfere with the topographical magnetic field here so that Lin Muyu couldn't use the power of breaking through the void to teleport away. However, what was their trump card? Was it Tang Xiaoxi? There was a small bamboo forest in front of them. The bamboo leaves rustled in the breeze. It was indescribably tranquil. Lin Muyu stood still and said, "Okay, we'll stop here." He turned to look at Tang Xiaoxi. Tang Xiaoxi also raised her head and looked at him with a pair of familiar eyes. Xiao Shi, what's wrong with you? He asked. Nothing. Why do you ask? Tang Xiaoxi's words were like frost. Did you kill Xiao Yin? Lin Muyu asked. Yes. You. Lin Muyu gritted her teeth. She didn't expect Tang Xiaoxi to admit it so easily. For a moment, her emotions were in turmoil. She said with a livid face, have you forgotten the promise you made to me and Xiao Yin? We said we would never let her down. How can you do this? What about me? Tang Xiaoxi looked straight at him. Her pair of beautiful eyes were full of affection. She said, Mu, you know I love you too. But Qin Yin took you away from me. What did I do wrong? Killing Xiao Yin. Is this how you love me? Otherwise? Tang Xiaoxi's beautiful eyes were slowly covered with gold. Her body was enshrouded in flames. She revealed a cruel smile. I am the daughter of the God Emperor. I am the third princess of the God race, Tang Xiaoxi. And you are Lin Muyu, the #1 enemy of the God race. Do you want me to love you? You, come on. Tang Xiaoxi suddenly opened her arms. Her smile was full of charm. Spoil me. Isn't this what you always wanted? Mu, I am Xiao Shi. Lin Muyu looked at her in disappointment, her whole body was in a daze. But Tang Xiaoxi opened her arms and embraced Lin Muyu. She stood on her tiptoes and pressed her red lips on his. Her soft and fragrant tongue gently teased Lin Muyu. Her tenderness seemed to be able to melt everything. The surrounding divine power was buzzing. Lin Muyu stood there in a daze. He did not use his supreme divine power. He wanted to gamble. He wanted to fight. Holding Tang Xiaoxi's delicate body, Lin Muyu kissed her. The moonlight shone on his face. He looked so handsome. His clear eyes looked straight at Tang Xiaoxi. Feeling Tang Xiaoxi's blood-red claws on his back, Lin Muyu suddenly smiled. His smile was so sad. He murmured, is this how you killed Xiao Yin? Now, do you want to kill me like this? Tang Xiaoxi was stunned. Her claws, which were full of demon power, slowly shrank. She trembled and still held Lin Muyu. She closed her eyes in pain and tears came out. I don't want to. I can't. Mu, go, leave me, quickly, what's going on? Lian Zhao's eyes were cold. Why hasn't Nine Tails made a move? I don't know. Dong, 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 the war drums roared. Lian Zhao immediately pulled out her sword and shouted, the military order is here. If she doesn't make a move, we will. Chapter 653. Do it, kill them. Inside the tent, Qianfeng shouted and rushed forward. His sharp sword pierced through the back of a chilly arch of the Longdan army camp. Back off. Wei Chou shouted in a hurry, O Yang Yan, do it. O Yang Yan suddenly used all her strength. With a wave of her palm, a 10-meter-long wall of flame appeared in front of her, blocking the Saint Master, Demon Emperor, and others. Wei Chou took out his dagger and turned his palm, activating the power of heaven and earth. The power source of the heavenly book was different from the divine power, it was not affected by the magnetic field of the Zhongyan. The next moment, with a swoosh, Wei Chou and nearly 200 generals of the Longdan army camp left their original positions and appeared at the foot of Heaven Connect City 10 miles away. In addition, several unprepared generals of the demon race were also brought over. Kill them. Wei Chou ordered loudly. Situ Sun and Fengxi acted quickly. With a muffled grunt, several generals of the demon race were dismembered. Wei Chou gritted his teeth and said, in less than 2 hours, the demon race will attack the city. Prepare for battle. Yes. In Cold Wind Town, Tang Xiaoxi's body was covered in flames. She was in a state of fighting with nature. The mind-manipulating art had almost stolen her mind. But only Lin Muyu, only this person could make Tang Xiaoxi's soul, which was sealed in the depths of Yi Hai, vibrate intensely. She knew that this person must not be killed, or she would regret it for the rest of her life. Go quickly. She looked at Lin Muyu in pain. Behind them, the sounds of killing came from Lian Zhao and the others. From the southwest came the sound of iron hooves. The demon race did not abide by the agreement. They had already arranged tens of thousands of troops in Cold Wind Town, ready to attack at any time. But Qianfeng did not expect that Lin Muyu had a heavenly book of the law of space, which allowed them to escape safely. I will take you away. Lin Muyu grasped Tang Xiaoxi's wrist. No. Tang Xiaoxi felt as if she had been electrocuted. The gold color in her eyes rapidly changed from red to gold. She shook her head repeatedly and murmured, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. Go, go. Clang. Unsheathing the stellar sword, Lin Muyu swept across like a whirlwind. Her supreme god force was boundless, and with a flash of golden light, dozens of high-ranking demon guards were instantly beheaded. However, this place was filled with magnetic fields, and Lin Muyu couldn't teleport away. She could only leap up and fly towards the south. In the night sky, Lin Muyu's golden figure was getting further and further away. Tang Xiaoxi raised her head to look at the sky. The person whom she had yearned for day and night was gone. In the next moment, she regained her composure. Her soul once again sank into the depths of Yi Hai and fell into a deep sleep. However, her mind was occupied by another Tang Xiaoxi. Two people walked out of the darkness. One was a saint master, the other a demon emperor. We let Lin Muyu escape again. The demon emperor said with some displeasure, Saint Master, didn't you say that the mind-manipulating technique would definitely shock Tang Xiaoxi's mind? Why not? If she hadn't deliberately let it go, Lin Muyu's divine spark would have been destroyed long ago. The Saint Master frowned and said, Your Majesty, at that moment. Tang Xiaoxi's telekinesis was too strong. It almost broke through the mind-manipulating technique's prohibition. I didn't expect that the telekinesis connection between Lin Muyu and her would be so strong. But Your Majesty, don't worry. Even if Lin Muyu can escape, she can't escape from Heaven Connect City. We will definitely win this battle. The Longdan army camp will soon disappear from the mainland. That had better be the case. Send the troops immediately. I want Lin Muyu, Wei Chou, and Situ Sun to be unable to escape. Yes. The war drums roared, and the lights in Heaven Connect City were brightly lit. This night was destined to not be a peaceful night. Blood would definitely dye the land outside Heaven Connect City red, whether it was human or demon. There were only 50,000 elites of the Longdan army camp in Heaven Connect City, while the demon clan had at least used more than 200,000 troops, among which the ferocious armor demon army made up the majority. No matter from which aspect, the demon clan was bound to win this battle. In the wind, Lin Muyu descended from the sky and landed on the north wall of Heaven Connect City. Wei Chou, Situ Sun, and the others immediately knelt down and said, Your Highness. No need for formalities. Prepare for battle. Yes. The sound of hooves of the demon clan could be faintly heard in the distance. They came very fast, and the Longdan army camp lacked troops, so they could only defend the city and fight. However, with the magic crystal cannons, the demon clan was courting death if they wanted to forcibly attack Heaven Connect City. Lin Muyu was confident enough. If the Longdan army camp did not suffer any casualties, the demon clan would definitely suffer 10 casualties. This business was definitely profitable. Qianfeng was not a person who would make a losing deal. He would not do such a stupid thing. On the city wall, the soldiers of the Longdan army camp with bows and arrows in their hands were ready to fight. The dark magic crystal cannons reflected a faint luster in the moonlight. Everyone held their breath, listened to the wind, and felt the pulse of the earth from afar. The demon clan was coming with thousands of troops. It's okay. Lin Muyu waved her hand and said, "Send out a letter and order Marquis Min Yulan to lead 150,000 troops to attack Yanming Prefecture, Zigui Prefecture and other southern prefectures. Take the strategy of advancing step by step. Don't fight with the Armor Demon Legion. Use the arrow boxes and crossbow carts as the vanguard, and use the shield and spear cavalry to break the blockade of these prefectures to Heaven Connect City. We only need to wait and delay the main army of Qianfeng. Then we will win this war." "Yes, Your Highness." Under the moonlight, they could see the Black Demon Clan army coming like a tide, but they stopped 3 miles away, as if waiting for something. "Why don't they attack the city?" Situ Sun frowned. "They are waiting," Wei Chou said. "Waiting for what? How do I know?" "You can ask Qianfeng." At this moment, there was a sharp whistle in the air. Swoosh swoosh swoosh, it was like the natural sound of a whistle brushing the air, harsh and dense. "It's the winged men." Wei Chou suddenly looked up. "What's going on? Are the demon clan using the winged men to launch an aerial attack? Heh. Could it be? Qianfeng has a new tactic?" In the distance, a winged man swooped down to the city under the cover of many winged men. He was holding a blue crystal in his arms and a purple crystal in his other hand. The crystal was filled with lightning demon power. That was, the power transformed from Tang Xiaoxi's demon power. Kiki, the winged person, roared like a madman, and used the crystal to smash the blue magic crystal with all his might. At this moment, Lin Muyu, Wei Chou and the rest felt a chill in their hearts. The demon race had already understood the mechanism behind the magic crystal cannon. Boom! The winged man landed on the city hundreds of meters away with the magic crystal cannon. There was a magic crystal cannon and several boxes filled with magic crystal cannons. Hum hum hum, a purple mushroom cloud rose into the sky, and the nearly 100 meters long city wall was blasted into a pile of debris. A suicide explosion? Wei Chou was confused. The noise in their ears did not stop. Everyone was stunned. No one thought that Qianfeng would use such a method. They did not know the principle of the magic crystal cannon, but they used the high mobility of the winged men to achieve all this. Lin Muyu felt her heart tighten. She did not expect Qianfeng to know this method. Boom! Lin Muyu slammed her palm on the battlement, and the huge boulder instantly turned into dust. She then shouted, "What are you waiting for? Order all the sharpshooters to kill those winged ones who are holding onto the demonic crystals. We must kill them from 100 meters away. Aim all the arrows at the sky. Don't let the winged ones use any more self-destruct tricks." "Yes. Ouyang Yan, follow me to the sky and kill those winged men." "Okay." With that, Lin Muyu disappeared and summoned a Catasaurus. One human and one dragon rushed into the sky, and a flash of sword light killed a group of winged men who were caught off guard. The winged men used their wings and air flow to fly, but Lin Muyu used her god's control of space. The two could not be mentioned in the same breath in terms of speed and agility. In the distance, flames lit up the sky. Ouyang Yan used the law of fire to attack. Her new quintessence was slowly forming, and her divine power was gradually recovering. If Ouyang Yan regained the full power of a god-king one day, she would be a great help to humanity. However, purple light continued to rise from the city walls. Qianfeng must have waited for this day for a long time. In the blink of an eye, the northern walls of the city were like a sieve. Dozens of huge holes appeared on the walls, and Lin Muyu's plan to use the city walls to defend was completely ruined. What followed next was an extremely brutal melee battle. The winged men's self-detonation attack lasted for nearly an hour before finally stopping. After all, the winged men were not endless. However, Qianfeng had achieved his strategic goal. In the distance, a Qianquan battle formation, formed by 60,000 armored demons, slowly moved toward a section of the city walls of the Longdan army camp that lacked magic crystal cannons. Is that the Qianquan battle technique? Wei Chou was a little confused. Qianfeng can actually train the stupid armored demons to carry out the Qianquan battle technique. This person is simply a genius. Lin Muyu had used up more than half of her divine power. She landed on the city wall and said, Wei Chou, lead 20,000 cavalry out of the city and use the 8 formation diagram to fight them. Yes. Wei Chou landed on the city wall, and the assembled 20,000 soldiers immediately filed out of the city and formed a battle formation outside the city. Situ Shui looked at the dense demon army outside the city blankly and said, Your Highness, are you sending Duke Wei to his death? No, Wei Chou is not going to his death. Lin Muyu looked into the distance and said indifferently, he will only make unparalleled achievements. Just wait and see. Wei Chou will win this battle. Situ Shui, however, Situ Shui was very clear about the combat power of the armored demon army. Even if Wei Chou's 8 formation diagram was strong, he could only resist the same number of armored demons at most. However, the opponent's Qianquan battle technique was formed by 60,000 armored demons. The advantage was obvious. How could they still fight this battle? Just when everyone was very confused, a cannon suddenly sounded in the northwest. Then, a dense fire appeared in the dark night and crazily rushed to the southeast. That was the position of the 60,000 armored demons' Qianquan battle formation that Qianfeng had set up. Chapter 654. Boom! In the distance, a mushroom cloud soared into the sky, and the ground shook intensely. That was none other than the light emitted by the regular 25-kilogram magic crystal cannons of the Empire. The magic crystal reserves of the winged ones that Shallow Wind used were no more than 10 kilograms at most, and the purity of the magic crystal cannons was far inferior to the magic crystal cannons of the Empire. That's, Situ Sun rubbed his eyes and said, Why did our magic crystal cannons appear in the northwest? What are those densely packed flames on the ground? They're really fast. Lin Muyu smiled playfully. General Sun, do you remember the magic crystal cannon that was lost in the Longdan army camp 3 days ago? I knew it. Situ Sun couldn't help laughing. He clenched his fists and said, How could such a heavy magic crystal cannon be lost in the strict control of the Longdan army camp? It was arranged there by His Majesty. But His Majesty didn't tell me what those dense things on the ground are. Brother, don't ask. Situ Shui squinted her eyes and looked down the city wall, saying, It's the flaming oxen. It's our birthday gift to Feng Ning. The brocade on the flaming oxen hides dense black beach powder. After being ignited, it can drive the oxen to run crazily. His Majesty used the legendary flaming oxen array. Lin Muyu nodded and said, Whether Wei Chou can break Qianfeng's Qianquan battle formation or not depends on whether this flaming oxen array works. Yes. At the foot of the city wall, the battle drums thundered. However, a group of armored demons were dumbfounded as they looked at the direction behind them in a daze. At the same time, they saw a fire coming towards them. It was a herd of oxen wrapped in burning brocade. Oxen were afraid of fire. As the fire on their bodies grew fiercer, they became more and more afraid. When they became mad, they would ignore everything. Additionally, they were frightened by the magic crystal cannons that Lin Muyu had set in the wilderness. Therefore, all of them ran towards the armored demon corps at once. It's oxen. In the crowd, Lian Zhao raised her long sword and shouted, Shoot the spear, kill these crazy oxen. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, in the night sky, thousands of iron spears shot out and killed the fire bulls. However, the accuracy of the armor demons was poor to begin with, not to mention that there were as many as 20,000 bulls in the herd. It was useless to kill hundreds of them with the spears. All the armor demons were dumbfounded and hurriedly used their shields to defend in front of them. Bang, bang, bang. The flaming oxen rapidly broke through the crowd of armored demons, causing a strong burning smell. The flaming black beach powder sputtered in all directions. When it fell on the armor of the armored demons, it immediately caught fire. The hard armor and wings of the armored demons were highly flammable. In the blink of an eye, the flames spread out one by one, causing the roars and screams of the armored demons to be heard everywhere. Advance in formation, don't let them retreat. Prepare the arrow boxes and shoot. Wei Chou yelled from the crowd in the Longdan army camp. In the 8 formation diagram, boxes of arrows were pushed out and shot at the armor demons in the distance who were in chaos. Suddenly, the 60,000 armor demons were attacked from the front and back and were defeated. We won. We won. Situ Shui was very excited. Yes, we won. Lin Muyu's eyes were indifferent. Why? Is your highness not happy that we won? Situ Shui was stunned. It was just a small victory. Lin Muyu said seriously, but Qianfeng and Dong Xie still have nearly 200,000 armored demons. We definitely can't resist them. Send my order, prepare to withdraw from Heaven Connect City and retreat to Yanming County through the path in the south of the city. We don't want Heaven Connect City anymore. Situ-sen was shocked. We exchanged it with Feng Ning. Don't worry, Heaven Connect City will always be ours. Lin Muyu's eyes were stern. Send my order, we must withdraw from Heaven Connect City within 4 hours. All the magic crystal cannons must be piled up in the city and not moved. 4 hours. Fengshi said, we really can't transport any magic crystal cannons within 4 hours. Are we going to leave all these magic crystal cannons to Qianfeng? Lin Muyu said, leave them to him. Let these magic crystal cannons be buried with Qianfeng. At this moment, the coldness in Lin Muyu's eyes made everyone shudder. Situ-sen, Situ Shui and the others finally understood why Lin Muyu ordered to evacuate the people in the city after entering Heaven Connect City. It turned out that he had long planned to use Heaven Connect City as a graveyard for the devil race, and the bait was the 100 heavy magic crystal cannons that could not be transported in the city. And all of this had already been completed by Wei Chou's subordinates. There were tens of thousands of magic crystal cannons buried densely in the city, which was almost the sum of the magic crystal cannons forged by the Imperial Weapons Department in Lanyan City over the past 2 months. This was simply a crazy gamble. If Qianfeng did not fall into the trap, it meant that these magic crystal cannons and shells would be handed over to the devil race. However, Lin Muyu was very sure that Qianfeng would fall into the trap. The devil race had been restrained by the magic crystal cannons for too long. He could imagine that Qianfeng's desire for the magic crystal cannons was just like his desire to see Qin Yin again. He could give up everything and lose his mind. Outside the city, the 60,000 armored demons were defeated, but the sound of war drums in the distance was very orderly. The second attack of the Qianfeng army was about to come. After Wei Chou gave the order, the Longdan army camp outside the city took the lead to retreat. Inside the city, under the command of Situ-sen and Situ Shui, all the soldiers and the remaining people evacuated one after another. In the sound of hooves, a bird gently jumped on Lin Muyu's shoulder. It was a few green swans that were gradually growing wings. It seemed to be very attached to its owner and did not want to leave. Ah Shui, take Qingyu and Takshu away first. I'll come to you after blowing up Heaven Connect City. Remember, we'll meet in Yanming Prefecture. Yes, Your Highness. Situ Shui carefully held the green swans, gently stroked their feathers, and said with a smile, "Qingyu, you have to leave your master for a while. Don't worry, he'll be fine." "Okay, let's go." "Yes." Everyone gradually disappeared into the night. Lin Muyu lifted her hand and tore off the Golden King's cloak on her body. She changed into a set of nocturnal clothes. With a leap, she landed on the roof of the sacred temple near the square of Skyconnect City's northern city gate. She lay beside the chimney and retracted the power in her body, quietly watching everything that was happening in the distance. As expected, the devil race did not chase after the Longdan army camp. Because they were afraid of being ambushed, Qianfeng used the army cautiously and stopped outside the city. Looking at the intact magic crystal cannons on the city wall, he could not help but feel happy. After stopping the warhorse, he said, "Lian Xiao, lead 100 people into the city and check if there's an ambush." "Yes." Lian Xiao rode away and returned after a while, saying, "Marshal, the people in the Longdan army camp have already withdrawn, and most of the magic crystal cannons have not been taken away. I have counted, there are at least 100 cannons, but the boxes containing the magic crystal cannons are empty." "Really?" Qianfeng nodded and thought for a while, saying, "Lin Muyu is not a generous person. She actually left me 100 intact magic crystal cannons. Humph, she also took away all the cannons. We only have heavy cannons but no cannons. It's like having a pot but no rice. It's of no help at all. Then, what should we do? The Longdan army camp will come back at any time. Lian Xiao, lead the armored demon legion into the city and move away all the magic crystal cannons as fast as possible. Leave none behind." "Yes." A military counselor on the side cupped his hands respectfully and said, "Marshal, Lin Muyu is full of tricks, but Marshal is priceless. I think Marshal should lead the command camp outside the city." Qianfeng nodded slightly. "Lian Xiao, in order to avoid trouble, move quickly. We must move all the magic crystal cannons in 2 hours." "Yes, Marshal." "All the armor demons, follow me." Lian Xiao waved his sword and led the armor demons into the city like a tide. The magic crystal cannons were too heavy. Humans used multi-wheeled chariots to transport them, but the armor demons had to transport them with their own bodies. It was obviously useless if there were fewer people. Beside the chimney of the sanctum level, Lin Muyu's figure almost merged with the darkness of the night. Even the winged ones patrolling in the air did not notice her at all. Coldly watching the armor demons pouring in from the 4 gates of the North City, Zhang Tai calculated the number of them. However, when there were no more armor demons pouring in from outside the city, it was time to take action. Lian Zhao led nearly 100,000 armor demons into the city and started to move the magic crystal cannons. However, they didn't know that this place had become their burial ground. A ball of purple lightning blazed in her palm. This had already attracted the attention of the winged ones in the air, but it was too late. In just 3 seconds, this ball of lightning energy was powerful enough to detonate the magic crystal cannons. Go! Lin Muyu's eyes were covered with a golden light, and she had already entered her divine transformation state. The thunderball in her palm rushed towards the North City gate with a bolt of lightning, and exploded with a loud bang. The 2 magical crystal cannons buried in the ground also exploded rapidly, and a mushroom cloud rose into the sky. The 2 consecutive explosions were like a series of cannons raging in the city, and the thick city walls were turned into dust. This city that had thousands of years of history had become a victim of the war just like that. Crack! Ignoring the armor demon's screams, Lin Muyu stepped back into the space wall. She quickly shuttled to the south of the city and condensed another thunderball. With the 2-pronged attack, it was like catching a turtle in a jar. The armor demon army in the city was in despair. Except for those who jumped down from the city wall without hesitation, the rest were all killed. On the city wall, Lian Xiao trembled all over. Looking at the constantly flying lightning in the city, his heart was filled with sadness. "Madam, let's go," a guard on the side said anxiously. "If we jump down from the city now, we can still escape. Their magic crystal cannons are only buried in the city." "No need." Lian Zhao's originally delicate face was filled with vicissitudes. He said, "I didn't expect that I, Lian Xiao, would follow in the footsteps of Marshal Lei Chong and lose nearly 100,000 elite armor demons. How can I face His Majesty? Alas, see you in the next life." Clang! The guard did not even have time to stop the sword. Lian Zhao's neck was cut open by himself. Blood gushed out. He threw away the sword and covered his neck. Howling, he curled up on the bricks of the city wall and died in the blink of an eye. A famous general of the demon clan, Lian Xiao, had committed suicide. You're tuning into the Unparalleled SwordWill YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.